All right, here we go, everybody. The weekend starts now. Confirmed. One Up Yours for Friday, October 19th. I'm Garnet Lee, and joining me today are the Four Horsemen.
We never. Oh, okay.
Whatever you want to call us.
What happens when one of the four horsemen die?
I think he's going to visit his plague upon the lands.
Is he pestilence?
I don't know. He would not be John because John's staying. He would not be Shane because Shane's staying.
He wouldn't be Garnet.
Hey, I'm staying too. Sorry.
Yes, the worst kept secret in all of the internet is that, yes, I, Mark McDonald, will be leaving Ziff Davis. Today is my last day.
No.
Friday, October 19th. And actually, I have a little announcement to make here. You guys actually don't know this, although apparently Garnet somehow knows something about this.
I don't know the details, but I have heard.
No one's supposed to know anything
rumbling
about this, but the reason we couldn't talk about it on the show last week. Here I should back up. So, internally, I've been telling everyone. I announced it 2 weeks ago. I'm leaving Ziff Davis, and I'd said that I was just going off to travel.
Is that a load of hooey?
And I was going to go to Japan. Well, yes and no. I am leaving Ziff Davis, but I could not say actually what I was going to because it hadn't been announced yet. And last week I found out they were going to. The press release goes out today, this morning.
So as you all now know.
So yes. So as you all now know, I am going to Austin, Texas, to BioWare to work on the next Halo game.
Whoa.
Yes.
What about the next Sonic RPG for DS? How about that?
I don't know too much about that.
Wait. How is EA making the next Halo game? What the fuck?
It's actually not EA making it.
But EA owns them, BioWare's, right?
Yes. That is a good question. We might have to actually edit that part out of it because I have the press release here and it doesn't mention EA. So I don't know if they're going to add that or what's going to happen.
Congratulations, I think.
Yes.
No, congratulations, because number one, Austin is a fantastic community.
It is the only city in Texas that is cool.
I have a ton of friends there, and there's fantastic barbecue there.
Yeah, one of Luke's.
You're gonna love the place.
I was actually by there on my way back from Japan, which is when I interviewed, and one of Luke's friends that works at Retro Studios, Kynan, took me out and showed me around. So yeah, I'm excited to live there, and yes, Halo Origins Volume 1, The Forerunner Chronicles is the name of it, and
that title kind of leaked out. Actually, I'd heard that title.
Really?
Yeah, I think on this podcast.
Origins, yeah, we'd heard Origins,
and I'd even heard the Forerunner Chronicle.
Part, right?
Yeah.
No, actually,
Garnet just today started talking to me about it, but anyway. I'm going to be in the writing group. I'll be doing story stuff along with Casey and.
Can you make it to where Cortana and Master Chief have sex?
I'm under NDA actually.
Are you taking requests? Is that?
Oh, wait, so Casey's going to be down there working on it too?
No, actually, but he's
super cool.
Right.
I mean, he's on the top of my list of.
You're a
super
professional fanfic writer.
Well,
I guess you could put it that way. I get paid
cool.
now for writing about Cortana and Master Chief.
Congratulations, dude!
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
First Luke, now you.
I have the press release here if anybody wants to see it.
You're not walking the earth like Kane.
No, yes. What I'd said was I was going to go do freelance and just kind of, hit here and there and still be around. I will still be around through my first day isn't until December 1st. But I will still be around the month of November in the Bay
in other
Area.
words, Dennis, if you want to come down and do the podcast, November is your key opportunity.
We're going to get to that, but he has requested to be on this podcast in November.
It's your key opportunity to come down and get Mark in on the group.
But
I know you don't want to miss that.
Are you guys not excited?
Are you
a Halo RPG being made by BioWare.
That's pretty exciting.
And being made by you.
Yeah.
and I'm having a part in it. So I mean, it was basically like
Do you
I
not see
love
the
this job.
shit-eating grins everybody has?
Did Luke put you up to this? Did Luke put you up to this?
Luke was actually a key player in
Wow.
all of this happening. So
Well, congratulations.
It's a cool gig.
Phoebe.
Yeah.
That is an awesome gig.
thanks
awesome
very much.
gig.
I'm very excited. Yeah.
I can't think of like many more exciting things to do, and yeah, you're gonna love Austin, and you're gonna love it. That sounds, yeah.
I think if when you
I'm
go to Austin-
almost.
Oh.
I'm almost jealous. I mean,
It's pretty cool.
I love doing this side of the equation,
Yeah.
but
Don't get any big ideas because
I'm not getting any big ideas. I'm just saying that of all the things in the world, that just sounds pretty.
Well, two requests. A, when you move to Austin, you should get an art car because Austin is the home of the art car scene in America.
yeah.
Yeah,
This is true.
You should
This is
totally
true.
do that before you do anything else in Austin. You should
art
get an
car.
art car.
And they have a huge
And-
art car parade in Houston every year.
And B, in South by Southwest, I'm crashing at your place.
Oh,
Nice.
yeah.
And I should also mention we're doing the single player section of
Yes.
Halo
Yeah.
Origins Volume 1 Forerunner Chronicles.
Cool.
But so actually all I've been playing this week to go now into that is surprisingly enough, I've been playing Halo 3. We were practicing for our match with GamePro actually. And I've been practicing with Shu and the guys, and then I was actually playing with some of the guys from BioWare.
So let me give the audience the quick rundown.
Yeah.
Because we can't let them get past that. I mean,
Yes.
I know you're anxious to talk
Oh
about
yeah. I'm sorry.
I
I'm
gotta say,
stomping all over.
I already heard that Rob, as we know him, Rob Bowen,
Hollywood
Rob.
Rob.
He was the ringer who saved the day. That's what I heard.
Wow, that's
He did
a
good.
heck of a ringer. Anyway, so we're definitely doing what you've been playing. We have all kinds of great stuff of what you've been playing. We also have Shane's Too Human stuff coming, but we're going to do that in the second segment because in addition to some community stuff in the second segment, we're going to talk about these overly long delayed development cycles, how they affect certain games, whether they work for some of them, don't work, just some of those pitfalls. We're going to throw that out there for us to talk about. And then news. Yes, we do have the September NP motherfucking Ds, and you are going to just that might actually take up all the news. There's other stuff, but the NPDs alone may just set the megaton world afire. So now back to our regularly scheduled program where we were talking about GamePro, 1UP,
Yes.
and Halo 3.
Indeed, yeah. So we played them Wednesday night, and they actually they were talking about this is just for bragging rights, and we'd played a little bit leading up to it, but practicing and just getting naming down so we could communicate, but. We played with them, and they were really good. Like, we were kind of surprised. They actually stomped us on the first map,
Whoa.
which was our chosen map. It was the Pit, which I think is probably the best multiplayer map in Halo 3. They stomped us, and then they said oh man, I kind of thought you guys would be better, and there was just silence on our end. We were all like, motherfucking fuck.
That's
you.
it. That's when you brought it.
Yeah, and we were all like the controllers, you could hear them just snapping, but there was total silence. And then we just completely embarrassed them on Narrows, squashed them on Construct, and beat them by a little bit on High Ground. And then they took the last game, the Pit, 50-49. It was really fun. Those guys were really good and really fun to play with. So it's so much fun playing. I have to say, playing Halo 3 with actual team where you at least have strategy at the start, and they obviously did, and it's really, really fun. The save films and screenshots takes on a whole nother aspect where you can just instead of just talking about it, reliving it, you actually
That's kind of always the danger of smack talk, right? Is that you think you're doing great, and then you start running some shit, and the next thing you know, your opponent does, fuck.
Completely,
I'm going to kick some ass now.
But I'm curious, do you guys think other places, have you heard anybody else, in first-person shooters, talking about that they're going to lift the saved films idea? Do you think it's going to be something that's everyone's going to have in a year, or...
I think there's a lot of technical side to it. I think it takes a studio like Bungie that has the wherewithal and the capability to program, to devote people out of their project bandwidth to doing that, to do it right. How many studios have the kind of capable personnel, the kind of budget, the kind of leeway to invest in something that's not core gameplay like that?
Right.
Doesn't Skate do it?
Skate, I think, does do it, actually.
Skate actually will spit out video, not just It doesn't require the game engine to render.
I think we will see a lot of copycats. I'd be surprised if like Resistance 2 and Call of Duty 5 didn't have such features.
Skate comes at it, and rather than taking the location code, it comes at it from sort of the TiVo approach, and it snaps a block of time, but then you can post it to the Skate website and then share it through the power of the internet.
But I think you were asking, like, in a bigger sense, how many people are going to do it?
Well, I'm just curious. Like, I was talking to somebody about this, and it was like, I thought after Halo 2, everyone was going to have matchmaking like Halo 2, and then it turns out just now, kind of Call of Duty is, and a couple other games are. But now Halo 3 has these features, and it seems like a no-brainer. Like, oh man, just give this to everybody, make it part of like the developer kit. But I kind of wonder if it's going to be another one of those things that's like they're way out ahead of people, or I mean, I don't know. It would be nice to even have that as a part of the 360. I mean, I have that part of Xbox Live where it's just like any match you just played, just go into your Blade, and it's like your saved films Blade. I mean, the fall update has got to be coming.
Right.
I know that's not going to be in it.
But it's not like it's saving video. It is actually just saving like the state of your game. So it's not universal across all titles, and that's asking a lot. So
Right. Exactly. But I mean, you can see that somewhere down the line in the future, like that would be.
It's definitely a big picture idea. To, like, think about.
There's a good feature for PS3 to scoop the Xbox on. You have that one for free, Sony.
I don't know. I mean, it still seems to me that it will be in some games, and I think Skate especially suits it. It's well suited to that because you're pulling tricks, and there's a whole community of people who do skateboard and surfboard trick videos. So it really fits in with the whole idea.
Yeah, but any multiplayer online game, you want that feature, don't you?
You might want it. I'm just saying how many teams are going to be able to do it.
I agree.
And because of the nature of Skate, it really, really fits well for that. Like a snowboarding game, it would fit especially well for that.
And strategy games have been doing it for a while.
Strategy games have been doing it for a while. And what's becoming really popular now is the broadcast feature. We saw it in CNC3, and now it's in... just flew right in my head.
StarCraft 2?
No.
Something else.
The massive game with the Russians in America, and oh my God, people are laughing. The one Vivendi just put out.
World in Conflict?
World in Conflict. Yeah, World in Conflict has the whole broadcast thing. Thanks. Good save. Now everyone could laugh.
That just reminds me of another thing. Whatever happened to like spectator mode was going to be a huge deal when the 360 before it launched. That was like the next thing Xbox Live was going to have.
I think they realized nobody wants to watch other people play games.
But that's not true, because even just on Halo,
I think the flaw in it was that it only worked with if you had the game already. Like, where it would work if I could go onto Xbox Live and say, I'm going to go watch these guys play Halo. And
that would be even better.
And not need to put the Halo disc in to do it. But it doesn't work like that. The only game they ever did it with really was PGR.
And it still is in PGR 4.
Right, and anyone that wants to watch PGR just wants to play PGR. So
it's like, oh no, I don't want to play. I just want to watch.
I just want to watch other people be really good at it.
But people would want to watch like the Bungie Hump Day Challenge tournaments, like MLG players, the good players. Like that would be.
Well, so in those games, you can download those films though and check out how they did it.
If they decide to offer them, that's true.
Right, and then they got into that deal where they had to be able to mark videos that if you didn't want people to see how you did like your perfect run, you could mark it to where it wasn't downloadable.
Our narrow strategy, I don't want to give that away to anybody. I'm not uploading that.
But I think the problem with the spectator mode has been camera placement in the past. And then the whole idea of, it's why televised stuff doesn't work, and it's why I think the Halo approach, being able to put it anywhere and
fly
around, but then have someone kind of controlling it in the world like that could really help.
So all in all, how did the 1UP and GamePro festival?
So we beat them
resolve
3 games to 2. So in the last game was very close. They won it, but it was 50-49. But those guys were good. I have to say they were way better than I expected. And honestly, me and Shu aren't that great, but the other guys we had on our team were good enough to pull it out for us.
Who all was on the team? Go ahead and give them props real quick.
Nelson, David Ellis, and then Nick Suttner had like cable modem problems, so we had a last-minute substitution with Rob.
Oh man! So yeah, if you'd had Nick, you might even have done better. That dude is unconscious sometimes.
He's really good. He's scary at Halo 2.
Unconscious?
Yeah, it's like he gets into that zone where he's just. You never heard that?
Unconscious?
No.
Doesn't that mean that he's asleep?
Yeah, but it's used oftentimes to refer to someone who like gets into the zone.
I don't think it actually is.
that way.
I started
seriously. Seriously,
he's very good at he's very good at Halo.
He's so good. He can do it while comatose.
like he just zones out, man. He's just in the moment.
So,
okay,
Shane, you've had like 2 weeks away to talk about games. You probably have a list of like 7,000 games you've played for like 10 minutes each. What do you have?
Not really, because I spent a lot of last weekend playing 2 Human. We'll talk about that after the break. But I have been playing some games to review. I spent most of my travel time playing Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings for the Nintendo DS, which I know you've played some of the import as well.
Yeah,
I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah, I think you would like it because you like RTS, and it is completely a real-time strategy game. And I was a little skeptical because I wasn't the hugest fan of 12. I didn't like as much as you guys, and the idea of doing a plot sequel to that, I wasn't that excited. And from a plot perspective, you shouldn't be that excited because if you liked 12's plot, this is like ragtag kids on a magical adventure. There's a
Dear God.
There's a kid on a hoverboard.
We're back to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's very cute and effervescent and kind of, the whole thing kind of reminds me of Final Fantasy X too.
It's funny.
Oh, I love that game actually.
Well, and then it doesn't,
I know it. There's another thing for people. Two things for people to laugh at me about now.
I liked it as well, but it doesn't take itself too seriously. There's lots of cutscenes, and that's cool. FMV, the graphics, the 3D is pretty good for DS.
See, that's what I was going to ask. I've only seen it via screenshot.
Yeah,
and I was wondering how it actually.
I mean, there's some camera issues with the 3D, but
Yeah.
it looks good for DS, and the music it's mostly recycled from 12, but it's good.
That's good.
It looks very good.
Yeah.
But I mean, I ran into this problem. I'm curious if you had it where you can't move the camera around. So
you can move the camera, you can't rotate the camera.
Right, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
But when your troops are obscured by a big piece of geometry,
You just grab them and hope that you caught everybody behind there. So, yeah, so
There's no allowance for transparency behind there?
No.
Oh.
But it is interesting, and I do like it, but there are some technical problems with the controls. Like, it kind of bites off more than it can chew with the DS and wants to be more ambitious than you really can do. But I like it, and I think Final Fantasy fans will like it, and it's a good game. So,
Yeah.
But I had a good time with that. Although it did erase my save and had to start over. That was fun.
Oops.
Yeah. I've also been playing Metal Gear Portable Ops Plus, which is kind of a surprise announcement. It's like even back at TGS, like the Kojima production guys weren't sure when it was coming out here, and it's coming out November 13th. And what's cool is in Japan, that was an expansion pack that required the original game. So you had to have the first game to play this one.
What?
Yeah.
How did that work?
Well, they sold it separately or in a bundle with the first game.
And it's just a second.
It's a second UMD.
Yeah.
But here, it doesn't do that. So you don't have to have the first game to play it.
So you loaded the first UMD,
Yeah.
ejected it, took it out, put in the second one. You had to do that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not anymore. Now here in America, you can just
That's pretty old school.
you can just play the game.
I'm surprised I didn't know that.
I mean, you
actually.
can import all your stuff from the first game if
Right.
you have that save. But partially, this game is only $20 because it isn't a whole game. Like, the single player has no plot, and that might sound like kind of a problem, but it's actually fun because you just go through these like bite-sized crazy missions where it's like, here's your crazy setup, here's the characters.
Like what? What's like a
Like VR missions. Is it
It's,
like VR
it's almost like VR missions. Like, you start in this level and you're fighting like 6 hot Russian chicks.
Oh,
And
nice.
like, it's like, beat these 6 hot Russian chicks.
That sounds like a normal Metal Gear single player game. Isn't that what Metal Gear Solid 4 is? Beat these 4 hot chicks.
But there's no cutscenes and like there's no story. And
Yeah.
like you play through like easy mode, you play through normal mode, and you play through hard mode and expert mode, and you unlock different characters. And the gameplay is the same, but there's some new twists and there's some new multiplayer.
Looks the same engine, which is good.
Same engine. Although I will say, after playing MGS4, the controls do feel limiting. I was like, wow, this isn't Metal Gear Solid 4.
It's a MGS4 changes your
It
expectations.
does. It kind of like exchanges what you expect from that whole franchise. Things that aren't out for a while. Hudson stopped by with the whole new Bomberman World stuff. Bomberman Land for Wii, Bomberman Land for PSP, and Bomberman Land 2 for DS. And like, Garnet's shaking his head, but
No, I was going to say, I'm ignorant to that, but I know.
You apparently never played Bomberman.
I know we have a huge cadre of Bomberman fans.
And I gotta say, the Wii game, which I had played 2 years ago at E3 and was like an abortion. It was like horrible mini games, and that was all it was. They've gone back and actually put a regular Bomberman game in it. Plus, there's like a new Wii mode where you just like point at the screen and shoot bombs. That's kind of fun.
Really?
Yeah, and there's tons of crazy.
Wait, so it's fun to point at the screen and shoot?
Yeah, I was like,
You'd be surprised. That was more fun than I thought it would be.
But
actually,
it's the same. It's the same mechanic, but you're not controlling.
There's no
Bomberman?
Bomberman, right?
yeah.
You're just blowing shit up.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that's basically sounds like Link's crossbow training, which is actually pretty damn fun too. So
But yeah,
Basically sounds like Duck Hunt.
it has lots of
Yeah.
options. It has a regular Bomberman game. It has tons of mini games. I think it'll be a big hit with the
But
Wii
they've
crowd.
gone back to the classic just maze, blowing blocks up, collecting things.
It's
right?
not Bomberman X Zero.
Good.
But the winner among all these is the second DS game, like Bomberman Land DS2. It has like a crazy amount of multiplayer minigames that are really fun, and it's all one-cart multiplayer.
Nice.
And it's just super fun. Finally, yesterday, Turok, the delayed... We're going to talk about some delayed games. Turok's been delayed until February. And Touchstone, the publisher, brought it by yesterday. And I saw it at TGS, but I didn't get a chance to play. And this is an updated build. And it's pretty good. As someone who suffered all the way through the Turok Evolution for PS2, Xbox, and GameCube.
Although I beat the final boss.
Although you did beat Tobias Bruckner, because I was laughing so hard you took the control out of my hand. It's a lot more Halo-esque. You have like these AI buddies with you.
What first-person shooter of late isn't?
It's a little more, but the graphics are a little more, Gears of
really?
War, but in a jungle.
God damn it, John keeps pulling out that iPhone.
Sorry.
When did you get that?
I don't know, about a week ago.
Wait, you got rid of the big keyboard font?
We're kind of straying off the point a little bit.
Yeah, Turok. People are excited. People are excited for Turok.
A lot of people. There's a lot of buzz, but I don't know if the buzz is because I haven't actually played it myself. I don't know if the buzz is actual legitimate buzz or buzz like you just said. Like it's actually kind of good.
It has a very focused approach to its gameplay, and what you're
Shane very well there.
What you're basically doing in this game is you're scaring dinosaurs so they go and eat the enemy people. So you're fighting the dinosaurs, but it's more effective to like shoot a flare next to the raptors, and then it pisses the raptors off, and they go eat all these other people. So
Interesting.
So it's a lot of that. It's a lot of like using the enemy AI against itself, and there's also these incredibly over the top like one-hit kills. If you have your knife, you just
stealth kills on the dinos.
Yeah, you just like walk up to a dinosaur and like slit its face in half, and like blood is spraying everywhere. It's very gory, and the cutscenes are done in this very like artsy style, and they have really top quality voice actors. Who's the scary vice president from 24?
Oh, really?
What's his name? He's also on.
I'm not going to know that guy's name, but everybody knows.
He has Powers Booth. Powers Booth, who's terrifying. He's like he's like one.
That vice president. I thought you meant the.
No. Powers Booth. He's bad man. He's one of your guys, and some other famous people.
The very pockmarked, the guy from the last season.
He does have a lot of pockmarks.
Yeah,
it's true. But yeah,
the guy was slightly megalomaniac.
Yeah, very gravelly voice.
Yep.
Yeah,
voice. And that'd actually be a good voice.
It's gonna have online multiplayer, and like it's focused. Don't expect the world like lots of ambitious different kinds of gameplay from it. But if you want to shoot dinosaurs,
did they show you the PS3 or the 360 version?
Only the 360. Though the PS3 one was at TGS, and they say it's exactly the same.
Oh, great!
So
cool.
Coming in February. That's it for me.
Wow. You have actually seen a lot of stuff, and I know I can't wait to get into the Two Human thing.
I have a lot to talk about.
Quick preview is that both Shane and Matt came back from that with their eyes aglow like Christmas Eve from seeing
I wasn't sure if Matt liked it, so
Matt liked it.
Yeah,
Did you read his preview?
It can be hard to tell with Matt sometimes.
Yeah,
Matt liked it.
All right.
Matt liked it. John, do you want to take it, or should I bring it home? Do I give it to you to bring it home?
I'm trying to think what I'm allowed to talk about this week. So I beat Mass Effect this week.
Sweet.
But I can't talk about it.
Okay, so
there's your review out there.
Yeah, without talking about it per se, satisfying, not satisfying?
Very satisfying.
Awesome. That's
How is that not talking about it?
No,
that's exactly like talking about it.
That's not blowing the end. That's not saying anything about it other than just satisfying, not satisfying.
And it's built in such a way that I want to play it again differently.
Oh, even better.
Yeah,
even better. But that's kind of a signature part of their construction style.
When's it out? It's like November 2nd or 11th?
It's later.
It's the
20th.
Is it in the crazy
2nd,
November 13th?
Yes.
November 13th has like 1 million games coming out that day.
It is.
I played that. I played Geometry Wars Galaxies a lot.
Which I watched Nick playing a lot.
What do you think?
Buy a classic controller now.
That was pretty much the consensus agreement there.
Yep.
Because Nick is all
Do
about
not
that
try and play it with a nunchuck.
No.
It's like, oh my god. I mean, props to you for trying, but no.
Yeah.
But
which incidentally, have you played the DS version?
Yes, the DS version has some really interesting multiplayer games because the multiplayer on DS works like Tetris. So as I'm shooting things,
sends crap
to the other guy, which is kind of cool. And there's some interesting co-op modes. And then what I'd initially thought that maybe they're kind of overdoing, like they're doing too much. But when you get into it, it takes its retro like routes really, really seriously. So there's a lot of there's a lot of like individual levels that are inspired by old. So there's actually an asteroids level now.
When I heard there's levels that scroll, right? Are there scrolling stages?
Yeah, they scroll. There's like arenas that are much larger. There's arenas with mazes. So you know what I mean? This isn't anything that's not been in the previews, but there's you have these geoms, which are like the things that they drop when you shoot them, and you have to collect them. So there are levels that are built in mazes where you have to, as things are flooding out, you have to zap them and then run around the maze and pick them up. So there's sort of a vaguely sort of Pac-Man kind of part to it. But my favorite levels of all of them are the asteroids levels, where it blows the things out like really large, and you break them in half and break them in half again, and then like hundreds of things pour out of them. So it's like sort of crazy asteroids.
Wow.
And it even is a little homage to the boom 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 thing of asteroids, where they mix that into the music. So it's,
oh wow,
yeah.
So is this like the evolution we've been wanting from Geometry Wars that we haven't really had?
Yeah, I mean, I was worried because I'm so used to Geometry Wars being in these little bite-sized chunks,
right?
And to see every idea you can possibly think of all shoved into one game, my initial reaction was, "Oh, maybe this is a bit much."
Can you do like a quick contrast to Waves?
Well, Waves is
the tiniest little bite-sized thing ever.
So
right.
Waves
That's what I was saying. It's like their other ends.
Yeah.
Waves is like one of the planets in galaxies. So the game is it has some sort of type of structure now. So you have to use these geoms to open up. You buy new solar systems, and then within each solar system you buy planets, and every planet has a different kind of level structure to it. And there's some themes in it. And you can buy the power-ups for the drone, so it's like a little sort of R-type outrider kind of thing, and you can affect its behavior and level up its behavior. But there's 60 different fundamental game types.
Are there bosses?
In it. No.
Like just challenges?
There's just like crazy like manic stuff.
Well, now, I'm definitely more interested than I had been previously.
I was very off-put by it at first, and it won me over.
So I take it that I know that one of the things that Nick has super been excited about is the what do you call it? The different partner bots that attach to you.
The drones?
The different drones, because he was very much getting into the balance and how you could use them for different things. And
there's some level, like you can set one up as a turret. So what it'll do is you'll be whizzing around, and it'll latch onto the fact there's a bunch of enemies, and it'll lock into place, and then it'll just sit there and act like a little sentinel. And then there's another one that acts like just a second gun. And the more you use them, the more they level up, and their intelligence gets better. And one of the best, and then so on some levels you just want as much firepower as you possibly can. But then on other levels, you really want to go after these geom things because you want to unlock stuff. And one of the behaviors of the drone is that it will go collect for you, so you don't have to worry about it. So it's the same mechanic as in Everyday Shooter. It drops these little blobs and they gradually fizzle out. So the more intelligent the collection drone will get, it will actually whiz around the screen further and go find these things.
So as a casual observer of this, I think one of the things that's going to be cool that separates this as a next evolution of it and making it into a real game is that there's different ways to play it for different people, because you didn't even mention the one he likes the most, which is the drone. He uses the drone one a lot that spits out and then goes and attracts the enemies to it so that he can maneuver around away from it.
Oh, right, okay.
He uses that one a ton.
Yeah,
and he really likes it.
You latch on to behaviors, and,
right?
You
but it lets you start tailoring this game that was just it started off as just this simple diversion in PGR, and now it's actually grown into something more mature.
So I played that, and then today I started playing Ratchet and Clank. What's it called? Future Tools of Destruction.
It's coming out early.
Yes,
people are getting it today.
Yes,
yeah,
awesome.
It is.
I can't wait to play that game.
I mean, it's Ratchet and Clank, only beautiful. Not that it was ever a bad-looking game, but now it's like
the graphics are always good, but not like
it's Ratchet. It's like
Ratchet
and Clank running around in the world from Fifth Element. There's like so much shit flying around in the environment and the backgrounds and like the art direction on the game with just like all the shit that's happening that's completely irrelevant but is just going on. It just makes the world feel like everything feels really alive in the game.
And every time I see it, I'm always weird. We haven't seen a platformer in HD because there hasn't been one, which is so weird.
But so
it really impresses you.
It's
really wowed you.
It's very pure. I think
is it enough though? Like, let's say me, who like I want a PS3 game to play.
Yeah.
I'm not a Ratchet and Clank fan. I kind of feel like.
But you like platformers.
I really like platformers. Yeah, I'm really like.
Do you like platformers where you hit things and shoot things?
Well, I kind of look at the Ratchet and Clank games, and up until now, I kind of know that they're good quality games, but I kind of dismiss them, and I've played one or two a little bit, but they
Are you broken?
They kind of felt like
His soul is broken.
kind of like kids games to me. So I was kind of like, I just wasn't into it. It just wasn't enough to grab me. Like, is this going to be the same? Is this like, if you didn't like previous Ratchet and Clanks, this one might actually convince you, or is this kind of like, it's great, it's still like great quality, it looks better than ever, but it's not going to like win over new converts?
Well, yeah, that's the challenge with anything on PS3. I mean, it's PlayStation fan service. So what I think it's going to do is it might be one of the games that makes people that were on the fence in upgrading from PS2 to PS3. I think it will push them because it's exactly what you expect from, and it's doing the same kind of gameplay mechanics. It's just doing it in a way that makes you feel good about having a PS3.
Well, I know the good thing about that series, like Crash Bandicoot, at least the early games before they went to total shit, was that they did appeal to kids, but also like you know, people like us would still play them, like people who are
or
gamers.
even a further extension, Spyro.
Right? Yeah,
Spyro really
started
worked on those 2 levels.
That's true, but then that went to kid shit.
Well, it's when it went from the
well.
original team and it went to Universal Studios or whoever ended up doing them.
But yeah, the gameplay is very solid and the graphics are good and it's charming, and I mean it's a little more repetitive and less creative than
I'm waiting
Mario.
for the butt.
But yeah, but like
I feel like I'm waiting for the butt.
I think Mark wants it to be Mario and it isn't quite Mario.
I never said I wanted it to be Mario. I'm just asking what it is. Actually, I'm just saying, is it for me?
The one thing that disappointed me was it has some of the same camera issues that all 4 previous Ratchets have
Nick Sutner
had.
was telling me that if you play it with the FPS style controls, then it doesn't have those camera problems.
Oh, really? Yeah, because there's times where you
can play it like an FPS.
It's got like a bazillion guns, and one of the guns is you need to squirt this goo, and it turns into blocks that you can bounce on. So you kind of create parts of the level to complete the level.
Yeah.
And very often you need to do this in an awkward location, and the camera doesn't really know what to do with itself. And it's like it's got to the point now where can't we just take it as read that cameras work in next gen?
Right.
I think it sounds really cool. I'm very much looking forward to it. The only thing I think that's strange is out of the 2 big games that are out there, Ratchet and Clank and Uncharted, I'm surprised that Uncharted has sort of like achieved the position of first AAA title.
Right now, for me, I think that Ratchet might be one if not the best game on PS3.
Yeah, see, that's kind of I've been getting that feeling from around the office. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm surprised it's not the one that's out there front
if
and center.
Resistance isn't your cup of tea and you're looking for something that's not M-rated, I think that, and I think this year it could be between Ratchet and Orange Box for PS3 as the 2 must-buy games.
I have not walked by a PS3 that was playing Ratchet and not felt a pang of jealousy.
I wouldn't count Uncharted out, disbelievers.
I'm not counting
That's
it out.
true.
I'm not counting. No, don't get me wrong. Yeah, I'm not counting it out. Were you going to say the same thing?
Yeah, it's 20 something in November. I mean, there's a bit of a wait yet,
right.
but so far,
yeah,
Ratchet very, very good.
Around the office, a lot of people have finished Uncharted, so it's kind of hard to avoid hearing about it.
Right.
A little bit. Yeah.
I'm really excited for Uncharted, and it was on the One Up show last week, and like there was a Jeep section, and everyone was like really impressed.
Well,
by
and
it.
I've already said I'm very excited for that. I guess I didn't communicate well. Is that I'm surprised that it's being positioned as the front of the attack for PS3 because I think Ratchet and Clank
because
would be...
it's more adult, and I think everyone has just associated the PS3 as being for older players. But
yeah.
And I think I just actually remember I've got Orange Box this week as well. I played some Portal and I played
nice.
Team Fortress 2.
And
Portal's fucking amazing. You weren't kidding, Jesus.
Add another fan to the Portal Club.
Yeah.
So I guess.
But what I will say about Orange
Box
Box is that EA managed to take an extremely cool thing
and give it the worst name ever.
Give it the worst name and the worst box art.
Oh, I loved your blog.
God.
I mean, it is orange.
It's partially orange, and then the rest of it is just shit.
It's such a horrible name. But I mean, faced with that challenge, like I was thinking about that because I think the exact same thing. Like I couldn't believe it was actually called the Orange Box. I thought the Orange Box was what they were referring to it as.
I can't believe the word Half-Life aren't in the title.
Right.
It's crazy. Like you see people on live playing something called the Orange Box, and you're like, I can't.
On live it doesn't even tell you which part of it they're playing, right?
Only if you go into their actual name, right?
Yeah.
If you go into their name, it'll say which game they're playing. But but faced with that challenge, I was like, well, shit. Actually, I don't know. How do you do that? Because there are 3 like full-fledged games on there. Mm-hmm. How the hell do you come up with art?
Well, what they did is that they didn't go either way. They just dropped in the middle and did this thing that looks like a sort of bargain basement Kmart special box.
It seems like non-committal.
So it was like, go Half-Life or go all the way Orange Box and try and make a brand out of it. But no, they just sort of like pissed around, and it's like, here's like, and the Gordon Freeman art is shit.
Oh yeah, well,
it's shit.
Come on, Gordon Freeman as like a character design was.
And then you have the cool Portal logo, which is the little dude with the portal and the arrow.
Yeah.
And then the cartoony artwork from Team Fortress, all mashed up together and semi-transparent, all fading into fluorescent orange.
It looks like a catch-all bargain bin something. Yeah.
Yeah, it does actually look like a re-released like greatest hits game, and Gordon Freeman does look like a heroin addict. Like let's be honest, but really, when you sit down and try to think like how you would package it, I don't know. Like the 3 different art styles are so different, at least between Team Fortress and the other 2 games. It's tough.
But irrespective, the best value.
Amazing
thing, probably ever in video game. I mean, it's amazing.
I'd be pissed if I was any other developer, because it's like, well, what the fuck? How are we supposed to compete?
Like, how many hours of gameplay in that thing? I mean,
right. It's crazy.
It is. I think pretty much agreed everyone as the big value game of the season.
They could have easily broken it up and sold it separately. I mean, I would have bought Team Fortress 2 on its own,
full price too.
Yeah.
Like it is crazy. Portal would definitely have been like either a budget title or a download thing. But I mean, people would have spent $20 and been. But
I hope they take Portal now and look at the response to it and run with it and turn it into something. I mean, because it's so well done.
Yep.
Anything else? Well, you guys a lot of fun games.
I've been playing a lot this week, but I think that's it. Yeah.
I have to say, I'm excited because you kind of turned over to me your turn on the Need for Speed, so I'm kind of excited about that. Because I get to start playing that today, tomorrow, and over the weekend for review, so I'm kind of excited about that.
Out like in a couple of weeks, right?
Yes.
Are you really that excited?
Yes.
I like
this
year's
games.
Need for Speed is
really
very, very good.
Games. I like racing games, and yes, I
heard otherwise.
You heard that I didn't like that, or that it's not good?
Oh shit!
I heard that there was already a review out that wasn't that positive on it. I could be misinformed.
I've only played it in preview.
That's what I heard.
Somebody guarantee a score for that?
I don't think so, given the score I saw.
Oh.
You're so cynic. Gosh.
I'm just saying, these days when you see an exclusive review, they're not all that reliable.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, just from playing preview and playing it at PAX, I mean, we got to play some at PAX, and I was excited about it then.
It was great. The race through the desert in the M3, it was awesome.
I enjoyed that a lot. So, and people are like, "Well, what's the difference between that and PGR4?" Wait for the review. I'll get into that stuff. Okay, games I played. I finished Heavenly Sword. All I'll say about that is,
didn't we talk about this 2 weeks ago?
Yeah. I'm just one quick thing is, if you're having fun with Heavenly Sword and you get to a part where you're not having fun and it's before the final boss, just go ahead and sit it down and walk away. Don't deal with the final boss.
And they made the last boss easier than the version we played.
You know what? Yeah. It's not even the fault of the boss. It's the fault of the controls and them not being connected.
Don't blame the boss. It's not the boss's fault.
No.
He didn't want that.
Anyway. Next.
Hang on. So what you're saying about this game is it gets so shit that you could just walk away from it.
Yes.
Okay.
But have fun with it when you're having fun with it. It's not trust me.
I mean, the last boss is hard, but it's not impossible.
No, I finished it. I mean, it's not impossible. It's just the difference is that games that get technical have to have good control interfaces. Like you have to have, like, when you press the buttons, you have to have that sense of this machine is responding to what I'm doing right away as I'm thinking it, and no, God damn it, I pressed that button, I had that down, and it still didn't work.
That wasn't the reason I thought the last boss was hard. But
oh, really? Because there are patterns and stuff. Anyway, regardless, enough about that. Next, I picked up Folklore over the weekend, just because I was like, okay, it's Game Republic. I admire those guys. I think they've done some interesting stuff. I like the art style of it. That is one quirky motherfucking game.
It is. I like it. I played a little bit myself, and
is this the one that used to be called Monster something?
Yeah. The presentation on that game, like, the graphics are really cool. The art's great, but like, the cinemas and cutscenes are very last gen.
It covers all 3 generations in one game.
Presentation is okay. It's
I think it's last gen. I think
which part?
The way cutscenes are given to you, the way plot is given to you.
Which cutscenes? You see, that's the thing. This is the strangest games. There's 3 things.
Yeah.
There's the completely done in video voiced cutscenes, and then
which are rare.
Yeah,
rare,
but are very nice.
Yeah.
And then there's the comic book panel sort of turn the page thing with, still pictures, but kind of artistically styled.
Evocative, if not that impressive.
And then there's the Enchanted Arms, flat 2D dudes caricatures.
Which there's a lot of.
With text that you sit there
which
and
is
punch
like
buttons through.
It's like PS1 era presentation.
I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. They covered 3 generations worth of game in one game.
But the graphics and gameplay are actually pretty cool.
The game the actual adventuring game is really cool. I like the whole pulling the folks in, using the different ones to attack. I like the whole way it's put together. I love the art style.
Is anyone going to buy it?
No, because it's too quirky for America. And you talk about box art. That game has abysmal box art, and the whole mechanic of backtracking everything to play it. That part doesn't work at all either. That was totally not into that at all. By the second chapter, I was thinking to myself, I just want, I'm just going to go through this one. I'm just going to go through this one guy.
Some people will buy it just because they want a Japanese action-y RPG.
Don't call it an RPG. It's definitely not an RPG.
Well, it has it has elements of Pokemon to it. Really, it does.
It's an action adventure with some character leveling stuff in it.
So it's safe to assume this is a pretty low pressing in terms of numbers, right? Not huge anticipated sales on this.
Don't expect a huge spike on your NPDs. Yeah, that's true. But
yeah, well, considering the NPDs for some other more popular titles, which we'll get to in the third segment, that's not going to surprise anybody.
God, I was so excited for this game though the first time we saw it.
I was
TGS.
Too. It's still fun. It's still really fun.
It's an interesting little game, but you never. You really expect that much from it? I don't know.
When I first saw it at TGS, yeah.
There's two sorts of listeners that we have to this podcast. If you're the sort of listener that considers yourself a hardcore gamer that is into the Japanese sort of game scene, you'll pick this up and you'll love it and you'll have a great time with it for the art style,
if you're a fan of the work of Koji Okada, formerly of Persona 1 and 2, he worked on this title.
You don't have to tell those people.
They already know.
The name.
They know.
I think the character designs are really cool. I think the folks look really cool. I really like the way the folks look.
You didn't finish your two types of people listening to the show.
Yeah,
the rest of you will hate the shit out of it. You'll never care. Don't even go near it.
And you already knew that.
I would say
if
you're Type 1, you should wait for DualShock 3, because even like Mr. Game Republic, Mr. Okamoto said it's more fun to play with the DualShock 3.
So which makes sense.
What about the I'll buy anything on a PS3? How are they going to feel about it? I think the majority.
Are there people who buy everything on PS3?
You think that mentality's still out there?
I think there's some hardcore PS3 fans.
I think that they would fool themselves.
There's at least 45,000.
Well, I think you could certainly do a lot.
That's how many bought Warhawk.
You could certainly do a lot worse than Folklore. Folklore's not a bad game.
Yeah.
It got mixed scores in EGM, but one of them was an 8.
The I'll buy anything on PS3 crowd will rationalize this for the art style, for the presentation, and the way it looks.
Do you like it?
The game, I like it, but I'm not going to play it much more. I mean, I've had my fun out of it, and I apologize to the people who are big fans of it. But
so rent it then.
Yeah, and have fun with it. I played Call of Duty 4 for EGM review, which I'm still waiting to get clearance to talk about some of the stuff that wasn't in the preview.
Oh, yeah, I've seen some cool stuff that we can't talk about.
What I can tell you about this is if you played the multiplayer beta and you liked it or loved it, you're going to adore the final version because it is very close to as full-featured as Halo. And they have really gone out of their way to do a lot of stuff that is really, really impressive. And Infinity Ward will be standing behind this thing for a long time. And you will
Speaking
be able
of
to play
impressive,
it for a long
the
time.
frame rate. I'd walk by and be like, Jesus Christ, that frame rate's good.
It's really good.
It does look really good.
And the hallmark of COD2, especially on 360, was how well it was dialed in for controls, whether it was because of frame rate or how well they implemented their controls. And both on 360 and PS3, it feels fantastic.
When you say it's full featured as Halo, is that Halo 2 or Halo 3?
It's close to Halo 3. It doesn't have saved movies, but let me tell you, they've done a lot of stuff that as soon as hopefully by next week they'll have said I can talk about it, so I can tell you guys about some of the stuff that's really, really cool and you'll be excited about. Single player campaign, also plenty long, lots of diversity, lots of stuff to do. Doesn't step outside of the Call of Duty 2 mode, though. I mean, it's still a cinematic, blow you away sort of experience. So lots to look forward to that. And then finally, the one thing I can tell you a ton about is Unreal Tournament 3 for PS3, which Mark Rain bought by the office yesterday. We played 6-player on the PS3.
Oh, yeah. I heard Mark Rain talking shit for 3 hours straight outside my office. Just completely, I don't know if you were even around or could hear it, but just talking smack.
We'll probably have Mark on. He and I were talking about when he's going to come on the show, and we'll either do a special podcast or he'll be on this show or something. But you know what? That game gives him the right to talk shit because it looks fucking gorgeous on PS3. First of all, the texture detail is fantastic. It uses streaming textures, so it's kind of weird because you load stuff up at the beginning and it starts layering in the textures, and as you're seeing it layer in the textures, okay, that's finished. Oh wait, there's another layer to add in. And then once it's all loaded in and you're playing, it's super smooth, 60 frames, running as fast as any shooter that you've ever played. If you played Unreal Tournament before, it's super fast. It's all about staying moving, getting the right weapons, knowing your positioning, and it so works on PS3.
One of the guns looked like I saw it, and it was running amazingly smooth and fast, and everything else you're saying. What about the gun balance? Like, one of the guns I saw, it looked like a super gun. It looked like kind of a shotgun, but it would bounce off of things. And it's
flat
just like,
cannon. That's my favorite weapon in the game. That's
rip
always
the shit
been
out
there.
of people.
Yeah, but you see, flat cannon is limited, and it's very tough to use because of
it's like a shotgun.
It's not exactly like a shotgun. It's like a flat cannon because the flak particles that come off of it will like shred you.
Right.
But the thing you have to be very concerned about with that is it ricochets. Every shot ricochets, so you have to be very careful when you use it in close quarters. And the alt fire lobs out like a blob of flak that goes in a slow arc.
I remember that in UT.
Yeah, so
Right.
if you played that before in UT, the new one arcs out a little bit higher, and it takes a little bit of getting accustomed.
Are the aesthetics still kind of the garish UT pink and purple lights we've come to expect?
fan art.
Looks kind of like a discotheque.
Yeah, no, actually, I think Gears has definitely had its influence
That's
on
good.
this game because, but not, like John, you and I were talking about this when we were first looking at Gears. Like, where's the differentiation between the character models? And whatever the argument is, it's not strong enough. It still looks like they look like drawn from the same family, right?
Right. There's a style that seems to come with the Unreal Engine, you know?
Right.
Big shoulders,
Big shoulders,
thick-necked.
thick necks, veins, a lot of veins.
Big boots.
Yeah.
So it just, it's Unreal.
So
It's
what
Unreal
did
turned up
did
again.
Mark say about release dates? Anything to add on that?
The same thing you've read. Which is, and I can
Right.
tell you from playing the code that they brought us, it's really, really close. It's not like if you're concerned right now that they're having trouble getting it done, the parts really that they're hung on are really little insignificant parts. Like they're having some trouble with getting all of the video for the single player that's in the Bink video engine to run nice and smoothly. I mean, it's stuff you have to polish to get your final game out, but it doesn't impact the actual game that you're playing.
So we're talking late December, mid-late December, or January. It's going to be whether it's this year or next year. It's
Right.
sometime right around
The
there.
pressure from Midway was that they didn't want to give a commitment to December and then not be able to make that
Right.
again.
For retailers.
For retailers. So they're committed to the first part of next year. Don't be surprised if it makes it out the second or third week of December. And if you own a PS3, you absolutely must go get this game.
Well, but-
dedicated servers again.
Yeah.
Dedicated servers. PC guys will be able to create servers and host them, and just you'll flip a switch inside your server and say this is a PS3 server. All these stuff of customization that you've ever expected in Unreal Tournament. It's really
Cool.
good.
Nice.
It's really fun. And speaking of really fun, 2 Human, and you actually got stick time, yes?
I played for an hour and 20 minutes.
You played an hour and 20 minutes of
and they took the controller away from me.
the mythical monster that is 2 Human. So if you stick around on the other side, I have a couple of quick things from the community, and then we'll dive into this delayed development issue. Don't go anywhere. We'll be...
The Star Wars Battlefront Entertainment Pack includes all new, limited edition, lighter, slimmer white PSP with Darth Vader art and Star Wars Battlefront Renegade Squadron game. Play on widescreen LCD or on any TV with video out.
All right, and we're back and ready to get into the community segment from boards.oneup.com. I'm going to do a couple of quick ones because I want to give Shane plenty of chance to he's got notes. He's got pages of notes. So bear with me for just a second. There have been several threads of late on the boards of listing like different game stuff, which are fun for us to get into. You know, last week we did like that worst games thing, which was kind of cool.
I'm sad I missed it.
Well, okay, so we'll revisit some of those. You know what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to gather several of those and send them out to us so we can, because the problem we have with those things is when you do them
When you're on the spot, you can't
You
think.
need time, yeah,
Right.
for sure.
So I'm going to do some of those, and one of the ones that's fresh right now is one Doveman put up that I want to throw out there and get people active in this thread because I think it's really cool. He says, I'm sorry, second thread. This one is from Hood Boys. Hood Boys is your dream classic hits collection. So, and don't think of it in just singular terms of, I'm going to take one title and make a Dream Hits collection, but like, what would you want to put together? So, for instance, like Kobayashi JT said that, not to sound like a broken record, but he put together a Tim Schafer collection that would be Day of the Tentacle, Full Throttle, Grim Fandango, and Psychonauts. Mm-hmm. If you want to go down that one title sort of thing, Sword Guy said he put together every Shin Megami Tensei title from Persona 2, Eternal Punishment. So he's got like,
Nerd.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I put that in there for you. I put that in for you, Shane.
Those are good games.
I bet he wears black nail varnish.
They are good games, but he does wear black nail polish.
You would totally approve of that. So this thread was only on page 2 when I pulled it, and it's starting to move forward with ones like Kayosuke Sanada, who had the Hidden Potential collection. Now, I think this is kind of a cool idea. And I don't know about the hidden potential of some of these, but I like the idea. Rengoku, Coded Arms, Armored Core 3 and 4, God Hand.
Let me stop you at Coded Arms.
Let me stop you at Rengoku.
Yeah,
I know.
Where's the hidden potential?
I didn't hear Rengoku. Oh my God! Wait, let's go back to worst game you ever finished.
By the
God!
way, I can get confirmation. When Hudson came to bring those Barman games, I asked him if Rengoku PS3 had officially been canceled, and yes, Rengoku for PS3 has officially
On
been
grounds that it has no hidden potential, it is in fact shit.
Exactly.
Oh my God, Rengoku!
The Tower of Purgatory.
My God.
Okay. By the way, I did note, because I knew that was going to be the response, that I was dubious of some of these. However, I'd like the idea of like the Hidden Potential collection, right? I mean, so you could start to do some interesting stuff. Like, it immediately struck me as like, I don't even know what the titles would be, but I would think it would be fun.
The crap 3 first-person games that aren't really shooters collection, including Kiliak the Blood and Coded Arms and...
in America, that was Kiliak the DNA Imperative.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I could do a overrated by Shane Bettenhausen collection, including the collected works of Warp, anything Kenji Eno ever touched,
and Star Fox Adventures.
Star Fox Adventures and Heavenly Sword. Throw it in there just to have something current for the kids.
Boy, that's just like the demo version of the overrated by Shane collection. It might come on multiple Blu-rays.
But
I could do the Mark and Luke job resume collection. Oh wait, it's just one game. Moving right along.
Oh dear. So anyway, I like
the Halo franchise is exclusively hiring just from One Up Yours now. Then so.
That's right. That's where they get all their talent. So polish up those.
Shane's next.
Those skills.
I don't know who would be more.
Shane on Halo Wars 2 confirmed.
Shane,
he's going to turn it into a Japanese tactics style game.
That'd be nice.
You play a Japanese schoolgirl who, during the day, has to
do a Halo
class, and at night is a Master Chief.
And then she has to commit suicide and enter a dream world where she lives with Cortana.
I would totally design a Halo dating sim.
Actually, Cortana was part Lane. That's what it all is. It's the Halo Lane smash up.
I get your reference.
Yeah, there you go. I'm glad.
If you're wondering what that noise is, Shane is eating cake.
Or I'm eating cake.
That's fantastic. Let them eat cake. So, go to that thread, add your classic collections. In the next week or two, we will come back with some of ours, and maybe we'll visit some of these other threads that have these listings. We're going to address them like this because it just doesn't work to spring them on people. The next one I wanted to do is Doveman's thread, which was, so I've had a 360 for a few months, and he asks, at what point do I begin the change?
Menopause?
That is to say, at what point do I become disdainful of last-gen graphics and the Wii's visuals? As of right now, I'm still having no problem alternating between 360 and the PS2 or the 360 and the Wii. Furthermore, I have yet to wish that a game that I've been playing on an older platform or on the Wii was on the 360 instead.
Weird.
Okay, yeah, so what's he playing on the... I mean, if he's playing God of War 2 and, Metroid Prime, that's it, then, okay, I understand. But even Metroid Prime, I mean, I was thinking, man, give retro next-gen power to work with. God, who knows what the hell they would do?
Yeah,
okay, so you're following up on that argument Stephen Totilo was making last week about let's make updates of old games that are popular?
Well, no, not at all. Not at all. I'm just saying, to his point, there are certain games that the AAA of the current gen / last gen, if you call Wii and PS2 kind of last gen power, are still pretty damn good.
Okay.
But the average games on those systems...
Yeah, he might not be playing the right games to see the difference. If you're playing Gears of War, turn it off and turn on Balls of Fury for your Wii. Odds are you're probably not. These look about the same.
But wait, is the problem there is you're comparing what'd you compare?
Balls of Fury. Well,
how can you fucking compare Balls of Fury to Gears of War? You're talking about a super AAA title with a huge team.
facetious.
I was being facetious, but like in general, if this kid really doesn't,
I was being gullible.
If this kid really doesn't see the difference between the average graphics on the 360 and the average graphics on a Wii, well,
I don't think that's what he's saying. He's not saying
it doesn't bother him.
graphics. He's saying when does he begin to change? You know what? He got a lot of support. For instance, Anthony said, as long as you aren't an idiot, you'll never become disdainful of weaker visuals. Gameplay always becomes first.
Well, yeah. I love arguments that start, as long as you're not an idiot.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, who wants to be an idiot?
Right. I mean, and Wii games are looking better. Like Mario Galaxy does look to me like the best looking game I've seen on the console.
Definitely.
It doesn't upset me to look upon it.
Right.
Okay, so here's a couple of supports then for the size that you guys had, which was, first of all, Edmix says that, I feel like gaming is your food. You eat with your eyes before your mouth, so the game should look good enough that you want to play it. Presentation is really important in making a good game. Entertainment is a factor in games also.
Yeah, I mean, to this guy's point, like Wii Sports, I actually do not miss. I don't think like, man, this game would be so much better if it looked like Virtua Tennis 3 or whatever. But certain games like Metroid, even though those games look amazing, and I don't think like.
Isn't Duffman just being a little passively aloof here more than anything? Like, hey, I'm just all about the games. I don't notice the graphics.
He had a longer post, and he actually backed up his thread quite a bit. So, no, I don't think he was being aloof. I think he was actually genuinely saying that. I think he's a hardcore gamer, first of all. I think he's saying that basically, I'm a hardcore gamer. I have a lot of values.
Boss in Mega Man 5 as well, I think.
Duffman, perhaps.
How about this example from This Needs Kerning? He says that it's the point where you realize that next-gen capabilities...
typographical name.
I know, it's pretty neat, huh? He says it's the point where you realize that next-gen capabilities will aid in expanding and furthering gameplay once developers get a good grip on the hardware. He said he's tired of people always thinking about next-gen is all about textures and awesome water effects. That's where it always begins, but what we saw during last-gen is eventually becomes more focused on other things. We've already seen in games such as Bioshock and Heavenly Sword that the change aids in storytelling as well as gameplay, and that you also see things like better physics, and the developers can start expanding from there on what they can do in the context of making a great game.
It's going to be AI, I think, at the end of this generation. Everything's going to look pretty gorgeous, and it's going to be the enemy logic, because there's still some really shitty AI out there. Heavenly Sword.
Give us your honest opinion, John. Mark?
What?
Nothing more to add to this? Like, you're done? I mean, can you switch between the two?
In Halo Origins...
I think... Let me just say this. I think of Mark... since he's leaving, I'll give him a little lump of praise here. I think of him as a guy who doesn't just look at a game on its face value, who digs in at a much deeper level and gives games a lot more credit than just that surface impression. So, do you have like that change? Have you had this change?
Yeah, I have had the change. I mean, I think the telltale sign was, not to go back to it again, but Metroid Prime 3, as much as I loved it, and it was like, okay, the Wii can do, it can stand. At the same time, I still thought, like, my God, if this is what they can do with last-gen graphics, which does stand up to current-gen graphics, I couldn't help but think, what are they going to do with, the next system? Or what could they have done with the 360? What could they have done with that? But I think at the same time, it's a per-title basis. Like, a lot of the Wii games, they make it so you don't matter. You don't really think about it. When you're looking at Mario, you're not like, oh man, if only his hat was bump mapped. But first-person shooters, you do think that.
I think the screen technology makes a difference as well, because now we're all playing on HD flat panels.
Okay.
And the Wii and PS2 looks considerably more like ass on a really good TV than it does on a standard def TV.
Especially being roped into the LCD world.
If he's playing a 360 on a standard def TV, he's probably not going to feel the difference for a while.
That's completely true, yeah.
Interesting. So obviously a lot of developers have gotten wrapped up in this whole generational advancement thing, and it's contributed to many a game delay. And I'm not saying that that's all that was conspiring against Too Human, although we know that it started a whole generation ago.
This is true.
You've caught up with it yet again.
Generations ago, really.
Right.
This was an interesting return to Silicon Knights for Matt, Leon, and myself, because almost 2 years ago is when we went out there in January of 2006.
Is that when you did the cover story?
It is.
Oh my God.
And we were the first people to play it. We were the first people to see the Xbox 360
and you came
version.
back blown away last time.
Well, yeah, and because there was very little.
Let me give you that sword while you talk about Silicon Knights.
Shane likes Kool-Aid, in case you didn't know that.
And a lot of the pie in the sky stuff that Dennis told us was going to be in the game 2 years ago that we didn't see, because what we played was a very simple early demo, that seemed improbable. now is in the game. Like almost everything he promised us is actually in the game.
Give us a for instance.
For instance, like hundreds and thousands of unique items that look
hundreds
and thousands of unique items.
And or of. Hundreds and thousands?
Just say hundreds of items. Just cover your ass.
It's a quote. Yeah. It's a quote. I have a quote from Dennis Dyke. Hundreds of thousands.
Bullshit.
That's what he's saying. And like in the demo, I picked up so many things.
And I'm sure you picked up hundreds of thousands of items in your hour.
I did fill my entire 80 item inventory with items.
Oh, so obviously extrapolating from there.
No, but
picked up 80 items.
It's a quote.
So
it's not my it's not my quote. It's Dennis's quote. Maybe he's lying.
I will say I feel sorry for like the Prima guy working on the hundreds of thousands of items strategy guy.
But like, as the guy who did Pokemon, you would
listed.
be definitely able to feel that.
So the big problem with Too Human is all along everyone doesn't really know what it is.
Right.
And when you put that demo up on E3 show floor at E3 2006 and you walk up to it and it looks like a character action game and doesn't play like a character action game, and you're not seeing any of the RPG stuff because they've never shown it. Well, this is where they showed all the RPG stuff, and it's a little overwhelming at first. Like the amount of customization you have on your character, I mean, it's kind of crazy.
See, that's what when we had him on EGM Live, like that's when I got excited when it was like, oh, so there's going to be all these drops, and every single one, when you change it, it changes the look on your character,
and
like,
you can change those items, you can modify those items, and there's a skill tree that's very much like.
Devil May Cry?
No, it's almost exactly like the sphere grid or the license board from Final Fantasy 12.
Oh, okay.
But there's even more stuff. Like, there's different character classes that have different abilities and different, weapons. And
let me explain why I was pushing you on that. I'm pushing you on that because of all the games I've ever played, Diablo 2 embodied that more than any other, and I was such a slut for that game because I wanted to keep going back and finding something new for my character.
So what this game is a game like Diablo 2, or even more so like Phantasy Star Online. And I made that comparison originally, and now that I've seen the game and played the game, and it's almost, it's getting close to being done, it is a lot like PSO.
And that was like when I saw the new video, and they're actually were doing something on it today on the One Up Show, and Scott, Matt talking to Dennis, all that. It was like that's what got me excited. Was like no one has really done PSO well.
So is it like PSO but more accessible? Because one of the problems with PSO is a lot of people look at it and like, ugh.
Well, okay, let me read a quote from Dennis.
This is the notes.
When you create
channel Dennis, when you speak in his voice,
and I'm going to say Dennis desperately wants to be on this podcast, and he's going to come here in November.
He's going to come down. We already got that settled.
And like what I got to say is, there's so much off the record, Dennis, that I wish I could say.
Okay.
And like I can't, but maybe he will when he's here. So okay. When you create a game with the scope of Too Human, there's a tremendous amount of balancing, and you try to make all the action elements work alongside the role playing elements. If you were to play a game like Ninja Gaiden and put tons of loot gathering in it, you'd get carpal tunnel syndrome after half an hour. So we've set up our controls to be very accessible. Look at World of Warcraft; it's easy, and it's still kind of a turn-based game. So if you're going to put action into that, you have to make it really accessible, and that's what we think we did. For example, with the shooting, if you move the right stick while shooting, it plays just like Geometry Wars, and you can pick it up really quickly. And that's right, like the shooting, which is one of the ways to attack enemies. You have like L and R, you have two guns.
Right.
It controls like Geometry Wars, and you're like playing Geometry Wars fighting all these robots.
Because it's just dual analog.
It's just dual analog.
Yeah.
And when you're fighting with your swords, if you want to make it as simple as possible, you seriously just hold the right stick towards an enemy, and Baldur will auto-lock onto the enemy, go up to the enemy, kill that enemy, go to the next enemy. Or if you want...
So it's taking the clicking on things in Diablo and mapping it to the sticks.
But if you want, you can also do combos by doing the stick in different directions, doing two sticks at once, and you have all these other moves. You have these things called War Cries and Ruiners, and they're like these combos and like super moves, and you can like combo them together and try to keep your combo meter up. If you want to play it as more of an action game, you can, and it does work. I mean, is it as rewarding as Devil May Cry in that you're like pressing tons of buttons and memorizing combos? No, it isn't Devil May Cry.
So is it all contextual? So it depends on where you are in relation to the enemy on the animation that you see, and
your combos are different depending on what weapon you're using and what character class you are.
Okay.
But the game does a really good job of like teaching you these things very slowly. Like as the game progresses, you unlock the different like skill trees, and like at one point in the game, you have to make a choice between whether or not you're going to like become more cyborg than man, and that decision like affects the growth of your character like in a branching path.
So was this the first like 2 hours of the game that you played?
We played
from the start, or
so the game is basically 4 like worlds, kind of like PSO, and there's a hub world which has like a town with shops, and there's also these hyperspace. I forgot what they're called, like cyberspace levels, which there's no combat in them, and it's more like exploration and puzzle solving. So like the level we played was that same level you've seen most of your screenshots from. It's this like ancient temple from Norse mythology. And in that, it's connected rooms, and in each room, like groups of enemies will attack you, and you and your co-op buddies are basically just taking out all these foes. And you're picking up loot, you're opening treasure chests, and there's also optional challenge arenas that you open up through puzzles. And when you go into there, it's like a set challenge, and those are all completely optional. And if you die in those, you just get kicked out of them.
They're like little Zelda,
like little Zelda
challenge
rooms.
dungeon.
So why are you describing that? Describe how it looks, because like when I played it at E3 when it was playable,
right.
and it was very because like the screenshots that you'd gathered for the EGM cover story. Nearly 2 years ago, it was very closed in. It was very Unreal Engine. Everything was glowing and it looked gorgeous. And then the game we saw was very zoomed back.
My only real problem with the game right now, and I told Dennis this, is the camera. Because you can kind of choose to either keep the camera zoomed out or zoomed in. There's like a middle zoom, but it tries to give you the best camera angle, and you can center it, but the center isn't where you think it's going to be. It's like the bumper instead of the trigger or something.
Is it essentially a top-down game? Or
no,
is
it's essentially a behind the guy game.
Okay.
And if you have it zoomed way in, then it's a little hard to see what's around you. And there are some contextual attacks where it like cuts to a more cinematic perspective, where it's like you press the button to like kill a guy. And the only other real problem I saw was like lack of enemy variety. There wasn't a ton of variety in what we saw. It was more like PSO.
Right.
And I think from a single player perspective, it could get a little repetitive, but I think from a co-op perspective.
Yeah, so what about that? What about
they weren't really talking about co-op, but like off the record they were. And like basically he said, no, you won't be disappointed as a PSO fan.
Right.
But yeah,
because that to me is what gets me excited about like this game is like what you're saying with the drops, with the customization. Like there's the different classes, so you choose a class from the beginning.
Yeah,
there
are 5 classes in the beginning, and you're locked in, and like only one of them can heal like intrinsically. So that's like a choice you make, or you can play like a berserker, or you play the guy who's better at shooting. Yeah, the choices are kind of interesting and like do like instantly affect how you play the game and what weapons you can equip. So yeah, like after playing this for an hour, like I definitely wasn't bored, and the storytelling is a lot better than I expected. Like it doesn't
with what regard?
It doesn't bore you with all these like long cinemas, because like as you're playing through the game, you kind of don't really know why you're in this place. But then like as you get to certain trigger points, Baldur remembers like something that happened in the past, and you play through that. Like it's kind of a short little segment, like we're like setting it up, and that happens like several times throughout this level, and it's an interesting way of like telling the backstory. And the cutscenes are all real time, and the face like the character models are really good. I was surprised. Like probably second only to Heavenly Sword and on par with Mass Effect's like heads. Like
wow.
the heads look really good. And they had the talking heads. But another problem, some of the animations, like a lot of the videos you've seen, people are like, oh, these animations aren't that great, and like, no, it's not Uncharted, But for what you're doing, for a grinding game where you're just killing lots of enemies, it's sufficient,
Yeah.
But overall, the graphics are good.
So it's a grinding 3D action RPG.
Yes, with immeasurable depth I didn't expect.
So it's a sort of PSO, Diablo, WoW hybrid.
Right. And they already said, like, you can move, you already know the level cap on here is like 50, and then like you can move your character to the next chapter of 2 Human. And beyond that, and
were they talking about that at all?
Yeah, and like with the delay, I was like, well, can we expect the next game to be sooner? And they weren't exactly saying, but I think yes. I think it's possible that like if 2 Human ships in March, which I think it will, that 2 Human 2 could be out in like November.
So do you think it's going to be more like?
What? Wait. This year? Next year?
I think it's possible
in the same year.
So does that mean you think that all 3 will be on 360?
He seems to think so, but he says if the platform doesn't remain viable, then he'll just move the last one to the next platform or another platform.
Okay.
So do you think it's going to be more like WoW to Burning Crusade in terms of sequels, like very large new worlds within, but sort of latched onto the original, or is it a completely new game?
I don't think the gameplay mechanics are going to change considerably, although you might have a surprise in for like the last game where something twists, but I think you will go to like completely new environments for this second game, and they might introduce new weapon types and new characters, something like that. But of course a lot of this was about the delay, and like trying to get him to talk about what's going on with Epic wasn't easy, but I did get a few quotes on the record here, like what's a good one here? We didn't go into this intending to write our own technology. We were more or less forced to. The bottom line is when you try to do something new, there's always going to be skeptics, and skeptics are good, and in some way our industry needs to be more skeptical, but it also needs to be more factual and needs to analyze things for what they are. And if you're trying to do something truly new, people should not understand it because it hasn't ever been done before. says Dennis about his game.
Was that aimed at you?
Wait, did that start off with you talking about Epic? I thought that was going to be a quote about Epic.
Well, it was. We didn't go into this intending to write our own technology.
Oh, okay.
But we were forced to. So the engine is now completely ground up, all done in Silicon Knights.
So like because some people were speculating like, well, while this lawsuit is going on, because Epic countersued saying that it was still using Unreal Engine 3 technology, that they wouldn't be able to release that game.
Here's another quote. Dennis Dyack says, clearly our technology difficulties are out there in the public and we've had to rewrite the entire engine. It's a brand new engine that's built from the ground up. I gotta tell you, we were nervous. Even today, all I see is flaws. If I had my way, we wouldn't show it to anybody until it's completely finished.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. As a casual observer, having seen many an Unreal Engine 3 game now, does it look like an Unreal Engine 3 game?
It looks different a little bit to me. The only technical problems I saw, the frame rate's very solid.
Okay.
There was some texture pop in.
Let's not worry about technical problems.
Sorry.
Does it look like an Unreal? I mean, there is a certain.
I don't think it does.
Like I'm walking around the office and we're starting to see like Area 51 Black Site. There's
I was playing Turok. I was playing Turok yesterday, which very much looks like Gears of War.
I was saying, and Unreal Tournament 3, and you look at these games and it's almost immediate. You go, that's an Unreal Engine 3 game.
Well, it was built for Unreal Engine originally, so whether or not it looks like
an... Yeah, I mean, the fidelity and stuff, but it doesn't look like Gears of War to me.
Right.
Okay.
Another thing that I noticed, there is no loading, which was also very impressive. Like
really?
that hour and 20 minutes, it did not load. It did crash once, but it did not load.
That's actually really cool. Now, I appreciate that. I was
pretty amazed by that.
Yeah.
That's something that a lot of teams, like, you guys ever listen to the Crash FM podcast, the Criterion one?
Well, and
one of the things that they talk about, that one of the next-gen things is let's get rid of loading.
There's no
need for it.
I did an interview for the upcoming issue of EGM where we talked with them about the next-gen parts of Burnout, and that was one of the big things they emphasized, is that you're playing this game and you have all this stuff going on, and one of the things is they wanted to eliminate those interruptions, those things that lift you out of...
Yeah, they take you out of the experience.
Maybe my only real disappointment with Portal was that you go into this elevator between every level, and the perfect time to mask loading, and you still get this stopped loading bar thing.
Yeah, the fact that 30 minutes in, I was like, wow, this game hasn't loaded. That's kind of crazy, And then, I think a parting quote from Dennis that I have here is, Silicon Knights doesn't want to be known for doing the same thing over and over again, and maybe in the future we will do an Eternal Darkness 2, but this is a groundbreaking game for us on many levels. It's the fastest-paced game we've ever done. It's also the deepest RPG they've ever done. And, we just have to put it in the gamers' hands for them to understand it. You can't really understand it through video. You certainly can't comprehend it through screenshots. That's why we're going to do a demo prior to the game's release, because we really have no other choice.
That's good news.
Good to know.
So,
that's good news.
Expect a demo, which is, a modified version of what I played, like a month or two before the game's release.
Do you think that Eternal Darkness 2 thing is just a throwaway line, or do you think that that's actually something
I think
he's teasing?
I think it's something he's teasing.
Do they own that IP? Or
That's my next question.
That's a good question.
That game certainly turned out really well. So let's expand on this whole thing then a little bit. When was the first time you saw Too Human?
Well, the first time I was aware of it or saw it.
Well, okay, first time you were aware of it.
1997.
As
Too Human for the PlayStation 1.
Right. So from there, I mean, this is obviously one of the more storied continuations and expansions of a franchise.
It's no Duke Nukem Forever now, is it?
Right, but I have that on the list. That's right here on the list, right? So how would you say that they've weathered the storm of moving forward and moving forward and moving forward, and what has it given them and what has it taken away?
I mean, this is the third iteration of Too Human. They had another false start on GameCube that we never really saw. I mean, there's screenshots. I mean, Too Human PS1 was playable at E3. But yeah, I think they've learned a lot, and like the scope of the game has changed. Like the game they were making in 1997 was like a very cyberpunk thriller of the era. It was like,
and it was a lot more like the Legacy of Kain thing they did, right? It was like a top-down.
Yeah, so it wasn't a grinding Diablo kind of game at all. It was just a character action game. So I think their entire scope for the game has changed, and the trilogy concept is very ambitious. And I think all the turmoil he's been through, all the false starts, and all the criticism, it's probably making the game better. Ultimately.
Okay, so lifting a point, listening to what you're saying out of this, is that if you're going to commit to this path of extending your development, then you have to be willing to also question the basic foundation of what you're building as a game and why you're building it and how it works, and not just saying, oh, we're going to make it look better, or we're going to expand on the story, or we're going to lengthen it. You have to be willing to question the whole thing and take it down a new direction.
Right. I mean, Dennis calls is like his life's work and it's his biggest thing, and it, you know, means a lot to him. But the fact that he's been able to like completely trash it, you know, like, scrap the project and restart it several times.
Well, even within
something.
any other project that hasn't been as storied or have history.
Look at Resident Evil 4. I mean, that's another great example.
Or I mean, look at the original Halo. It started off as an RTS. You
Right.
know, I mean, like normal projects, the game that they set out to make often ends up radically different from what they end up making. I think where you get screwed is if you actually try to stick to whatever your original vision was, and if 10 years later you're making whatever was possible on a PS1, like then you've got problems. You know, if you
so that's got to be the core concern with like a Duke Nukem, right?
Yeah.
Is that everyone, because we haven't had a whole lot of information on it.
And technology and middleware, like what you're developing your game on, that is one of the big problems. That's obviously been Dennis's problem this generation with 2 Human. Is the technology.
So and to what effect? Take it to the effect that it screwed him visually, that it screwed him storytelling wise, that it screwed him as far as the game he wanted to build.
I think it was more just the actual getting it up and running.
It doesn't sound like storytelling wise it affected it.
Because the storytelling is very interesting and multi-layered, and like I'm sure the Unreal Engine didn't impact that.
And what you described isn't tech dependent. It's more it's a creative decision. If you're gonna convey things through Family Guy type, that reminds me of that time when I was
do the old flashback mechanic. And another game that's in the office right now for review is Time Shift, and Time Shift is another game that got a very last minute reprieve because we have the
Xbox One version here,
right? And then it was basically again finished as a 360 game by Atari. And when Atari gave it to Vivendi looked at it and said, "You know what? We're not satisfied with where this is." And from that moment of saying we're not satisfied where it is, they didn't just go back and revamp it visually. They tore apart the story, they tore apart the game mechanic, and have basically rebuilt the entire game from the ground up. Have they done enough, though? Because I've been playing Time Shift, and I'm concerned that by going back and addressing it, that they've made it more of just everybody else's game.
The other problem with Time Shift is there's a lot of competition there, and if you want to play a first-person shooter on your Xbox 360 this fall, it's probably not the top of your list.
But what you two are talking about are two very different things. In that, it sounds like 2 Human is this sort of singular vision where he's been like refining it, maybe too much. We don't know yet. But it's always been a consistent. Time Shift's problem is it's hopped from platform to platform, from creative department to creative department. In the end, it was just a brand and a loose collection of ideas that got mashed together and put out.
But my point is, like, is Time Shift really that unique? Not really. When Portal or Blinks who knows, is doing similar stuff, and that type of game is very prevalent. Too many of them really. Whereas 2 Human, there's still nothing like it on Xbox 360. When it comes out, even though it's been 10 years late, there's nothing like it on console.
When it was originally envisioned, would there have been nothing else like it?
Probably
when
not.
This thing happens in movies, people applaud it. Like when James Cameron's Avatar eventually comes out, everyone's going to be falling over themselves to talk about it. And it's been, a 10, 12-year gestation period?
Speaking of James Cameron, it is funny, like Dennis did compare himself to James Cameron.
Okay, that's not cool.
Actually, I didn't mention James Cameron is actually, it's in the press release, James Cameron is also involved in it.
Really?
Okay, we realize that you got a fucking cool job. Piss off.
But I just want to say, Peter Jackson, James Cameron, like...
Yeah, Mark, real nice.
All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
But
Make me an offer.
So at the end of the day, in terms of delayed games, I think that the many delays that have hit 2 Human have not buried it, and I think like the negative press, the poison press that continues swirling on message boards all over the world is not indicative. And when the demo's out there and you can really see this for yourself, a lot of the hate is going to dissipate.
So they're an anomaly for sidestepping this, because many games that go down this path of continuing and delaying fall into a lot of trouble, right? I'm gonna go back in history, John, and you're gonna have to like put away the iPhone for a second. I know you love it. I can't get there we go. I knew I'd get a rise out of him. He flipped me off, by the way. Battle Cruiser.
Keep going.
Remember that mess that was Battle Cruiser?
Was that delayed, or was that it just got futzed with to death, right?
It got futzed with to death.
How is that different? 64
How
game?
is that different?
No, we're talking about Battle
Human?
Cruiser 3000 AD.
Has 2 Human not also been a game that's been futzed with to death? And I'm just playing devil's advocate, but is it not a game that's been futzed with to death?
Well, I don't think it's going to ship in a version that doesn't work. Unlike Battlecruiser
that was
2000.
that was purely a publisher thing.
As someone who's played,
Derek went back. By the way, Derek did go back and actually stick with the game and finally deliver something to his fans.
No, I would say
both of them.
the Two-Human has not been futzed with too much.
You don't think so? So this evolution,
I think it's better than it was.
So you followed all that. You used to be a PC gamer guy. Where did Battlecruiser go wrong?
I think it lost its way. That was its problem, and it never really delivered on the promise.
It didn't have a visionary.
It didn't have it. The visionary. It was like it felt like he thought he was a visionary, and it was just sort of his loose collection of ideas that didn't work. But if Dennis is true to what he's saying, then he has this definite thing in mind that he's moving towards. And that does sound like the stuff when you hear about James Cameron talking about Avatar. It's like, I have this idea, I want to be able to deliver it, and I'm not going to do it until I can.
Right, and he talks about how, on the inside, when everyone is saying it's shit, and then you start like, well, what is it? And you start second guessing yourself and questioning everything, and you just have to stick with your, you know that what you're doing is what you want to do.
Are you talking about with Two Human?
Yes.
Was everybody saying it was shit? Because I didn't actually read a lot of it's shit. I mean, of course, I wrote from that E3 thing, but I think a lot of places did just say it's Two Human. It has this many levels. It has this many characters. People didn't actually categorize it that way.
Talking to Dennis, E3 2006 was definitely the low point. And the belief, the people on the team were like, well, are we making a bad game?
Right. Sure. Yeah, I mean, that is something developers have to deal with, where you're so inside something, you work on just it for 2 years, you
and
lose
it's a passion project too. Yeah. So if
that's the core. That's the core.
That's
of it,
the problem.
No, not the problem. That's the core.
When you care too much about the game you're making.
No, not a problem at all. I think that's the part that makes it work.
If you can distance yourself from it, then it's fine. No.
I was going to say that's the core of it. That's what makes it work. If there is that much passion,
is Duke Nukem Forever a passion project?
That's the question. And and George B, if you are out there listening, I know sometimes you do listen. I would actually really like to know that, because Prey sort of got caught in that middle ground. Prey wasn't their passion project, but they knew they had a great idea with it. So when they gave it up and had it made, it worked, but it can't get away from everybody calling it the vagina game, right? So
I think only we call it the vagina game.
Come on, dude, there are plenty of forum
goers. It's so funny because there's a Halo level that everybody calls the butthole level now, because there's a sphincter type thing on it. I guess it's just that easy. People aren't used to doors opening either left to right or from the middle, and yeah.
Anyway, I think the takeaway from this is that if it's a core, if it's a passion project, if it's something that someone feels so incredibly strongly about and has that much heartfelt investiture in it, then they will keep it going. They will keep bringing it back to the right spot. That's where Dennis sounds like he is with Two Human. We'll see.
I think he's going to make it work.
The proof will be in the pudding, which will be the sales numbers.
Yeah, when will we see that proof, by the way?
As I said, I expect this game to be released in March of 2008. Dennis did not announce an official release date.
Okay.
So maybe he'll do that when he's down in a couple of weeks. You'll be back for that, right?
Sure, yeah.
You'll come jump in for that. And I know how to get you back another time.
When he's not hanging out with Peter and James.
Right. Well, I know how to get him back for another week in November. Secretly, Mark actually likes 4-minute warning.
I love film warning.
He's been dying to do.
Secret?
Have you done one yet?
I've done one or two.
He's done one.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I tell you what, before you head off to Texas,
yes,
I will get one more 4-minute warning in here with the troops. So that's what you have to look forward to in the coming weeks. Right now, on the other side, we're going to do those sales numbers. Oh dear, Halo 3, what a juggernaut. Stick around. We'll be right back with that.
Hey, 1UP members, do you want to win cool stuff? Then move your cursor to contests.oneup.com, where we're giving away anything from games to PS3s, Wiis, and much more. It's all happening now at contests.oneup.com.
All right, and we're back and ready to dig into the NBDs. And, this is one of those moments. Speaking of former 1UP Yours characters.
Yeah.
The Luke Smith was always fantastic.
Oh, yeah, I should actually...
this was like his hallmark signature thing, right?
I should actually bring this up before we go any further. I was completely bullshitting you guys about that whole BioWare Halo thing.
Oh.
It was a total joke.
Really?
Yeah, I'm actually just going and doing nothing. I made up that whole press release.
Wow.
Nobody even looked at it. I'm not going to BioWare.
Now I want to read it.
They're not making a Halo thing.
What?
It's right here. I can't believe nobody even picked it up and looked at it. I spent hours making that thing. You guys.
Did Luke actually send you this email? Welcome,
no.
homie. It's better over here.
Yeah.
Wow.
He didn't, but we should put that up on the website, like just for fun.
Wait. Are you
April
serious?
Fools.
Are you serious now?
Yes, I'm
quotes-
serious now.
And you fucking got Kynan on that?
Wait, you have quotes from Peter Jackson in this press release.
You are both dicks. You are both.
Mark, I got to say, this is a 3-page press release.
Oh my god, I am so fucking pressing off. You are such a bunch of dicks.
I'm so pissed nobody even read the press release.
Let me read something.
I spent like 2 hours on it.
Quote,
dear.
in terms of enduring mainstream hits, it just doesn't get any bigger than Halo, says Dr. Ray Mazuka. How do you say his name?
I'm leaving.
Co-founder of BioWare. Quote,
I think I must now go leave.
As huge fans ourselves, the opportunity to expand upon the Halo Entertainment property with Peter Jackson and the partners is literally a dream come true. BioWare is not 2 words. Hello, BioWare is intercapped.
Wait, where? I intercapped it.
It is 2 words, dude. Failure.
No, that's intercapped. So anyway, yeah, I was very disappointed. Nobody picked up the press release and read it. But my favorite line was that Shane, you had heard of the Forerunner Chronicles.
I had heard of that. I swear to God, I've heard of Forerunner Chronicles.
Halo Origins Volume 1, the Forerunner Chronicles. You guys didn't even see. I did it idiotically with lots of colons, and it had a huge long name that we hated on game videos because it was too long to fit on. Our 2 lines.
Kynan, there shall be a reckoning.
Does our lack of overall surprise disappoint you?
A little bit, yeah. You guys took it as such a matter of course. It was like, shit, is this that plausible?
As I said, we've been there before.
I guess so. Yeah, it was originally Retro Studios.
You seeded that so
yeah,
well.
and between segments.
As soon as you said that part with Kynan and the retro thing, I was like, "Arr."
Did you feel bad in between segments? Garnet is regaling you with 20 minutes of, you should go to this restaurant and this bar in Austin,
God,
and my friend works here.
I did feel a little bad. And I felt a little bad because earlier Garnet came to me and was like, "Hey, so what's going on?" I'm
you said that.
So I wonder how
well.
many people, when this goes out, will
going to stop.
Will have been posting things on the forums.
Exactly. Hopefully, a
Before
lot.
this
I will say, Mark, well played.
Very well played.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
So you really are just bumming around the world, right?
Yep, I'm going nowhere.
And I wasted 14 years single malt on you son of a
But if BioWare is to make this game, you're interested in...
Yeah, now, somebody had a heart attack between the first segment and now. If they were actually...
Some PR guy?
Yeah,
why didn't I know about this?
Planning this thing. But I will say, yeah, I'm going on to...
So did my EA question throw you for a loop? You didn't really have an answer for that.
No, I actually did. I actually did think of that. I knew you guys were going to say it, and so kind of like a golden rule about lying about something is admit to something and then don't admit to the rest of it.
There's 20 PR companies are like, wow, this dude could fucking work for us for sure.
Colossal dick.
You are a colossal dick.
We'll put the full press release up on one of yours.
Tomorrow is drinks for Mark night.
No one's going.
And by the way, no, we're going, and you are not going home until you've puked in the street
at
least twice.
I have interns that still work for me tomorrow, and they will take shots for me.
You know what? Your interns are fine. Interns, you're covered. Don't worry about it. I got your back.
All right.
But I will say, yeah, I'm going on. I'll still be around. I'll be doing one of yours.
Good riddance.
Whenever you guys need me. I do have a new Halo-only Xbox Live account, so if you think Halo good enough, yeah, I needed a second account just for Halo people.
Dear Lord,
is it worth the extra $50 a year?
No, well, we got an extra thing before I left from Microsoft. So.
They comped him as part of his new contract.
Yeah. Indeed, TJ Space Thundercrisp. If you think you play Halo enough to join me, that's right. I've joined Team Jesus. They've been good enough to accept me on the Halo tip. I still actually have to have.
Someone send me a Ruger.
I've yet to have my initiation, my 3 days and 3 nights of waiting outside, for them to actually accept me into the clan. But that's it.
I think the Mark McDonald show, let's move on with the NPDs.
I'll tell you what, Team Jesus is already dancing in the streets because Team Jesus just blew the September video games NPDs out the door. 3.3 million.
Boom.
That's the Halo 3 story right there. Above estimates, right?
Well,
unbelievable.
We knew it was 3 million.
Mm-hmm. And that combines all SKUs, right?
Yeah, it does.
Right, absolutely. I mean, why would you not combine all 3 SKUs? I mean, that's Halo 3.
Yeah, it's too bad, though, because I would be very curious how the 3 different SKUs broke down. Like, how many of those collector's edition guys got scratch discs and,
how many individuals bought more than one copy?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I bought the Legendary one, and I enjoy it. Like, all the extras are amazingly well done. But the helmet, I immediately took the 2 actual game discs out of the thing, put the rest of it in a box, and fucking put it over.
And that was that.
In the corner, yeah.
So, not to jump ahead, but it's connected. Let's talk about the Xbox 360 number for the month.
Absolutely.
Well, this puts a very different spin on the success of Halo 3.
So Patrick and I were actually having a little discussion about this because the hardware sales number for Xbox 360, which by the way did eke out a overall win in hardware sales for September, was 527.8 thousand units.
Do you have last month's number handy?
I do.
Take that, Wii.
What was it?
What do you want? The
Xbox 360 last month.
hardware?
Yeah.
276.
So 3 million copies of Halo generated 300,000.
Well,
So
okay.
you're going
Hardware
to take the argument that Patrick originally argued, which was that that's not that impressive.
Well,
It didn't-
Reggie also made this argument.
It didn't
Right.
move the needle very much.
But it's a glass half empty,
Yeah.
half full type thing because you could see that jump and be like,
no, but the argument that you can make here is that Halo is a game like Halo fans already had 360s.
right.
Is that a stunning revelation that you're making on this podcast?
No, but everyone was positioning as Halo as a thing that was going to move the needle and push Xbox 360 ahead.
It will, but
Yeah.
not now.
Let's not forget, we're in September. This came out September 25th. It came out at the end of the month. Who buys fucking Christmas shit in September?
Yeah.
Nobody.
The Christmas shopping season, October.
Yeah, having
Really.
been a district manager for once upon a time for that chain of video game retailers, September is a tough month because August super busy.
Are you telling me in the past people haven't bought consoles to play Madden on?
Oh, they have.
Right.
that's-
So why aren't they buying consoles to play Halo on?
Well, I think the
They
people
have, but to about a similar degree.
'Cause
if you're looking
Madden's
for more,
August. I mean-
if you're looking for more, and August is an outlay month. August is a month that people, when they're looking at their family budgets, say, "I know this is back to school. I know during August I'm going to drop a lot of money, and I'm okay with that."
Well,
but by September, you're thinking, you know what? End of October, beginning of November, I'm doing my Christmas shopping.
I
I'm
think
not
you're
going to spend it.
rationalizing the numbers.
I think he is, but I think what John's trying to
I'm
say
not,
is,
dude. I'm telling
Well,
you,
yeah,
having looked at
it's
sales
true, but,
budgets for large numbers
Right.
of stores
But
for a long time,
any-
September is a shitty month.
I know. And any theory that there were like million plus people waiting just for Halo 3 to buy a console when Halo 3 came out was not true.
Right.
at
Right.
launch
At
day.
launch.
However, the people who are day and date going to buy Halo, have the pre-order, buy the Legendary Edition, et cetera, those are the people that are going to buy a PS3
Yes.
before that because they know beforehand that they're going to do it. But the people who only read about Halo in USA Today or Wired or wherever the fuck, those are the people that get it for Christmas. Those are the kids, the college kids that can't afford, that are still buying PS2 Madden, that actually get a new console at Christmas. And 360 is going to be it this fall between Halo and Mass Effect.
Look, they scored on their opening drive. The real thing that's going to matter is the second half of this game, and the second half of this game is November. They need to bring home a win in November for it to be the Microsoft success story, the Halo culmination of everything they put together.
November,
the whole package.
November is the big battle for everybody. Every
it.
platform.
Yeah,
That is it.
Jury is still out, though. Was Reggie right or wrong? I don't think this number really says anything one way or the other. It's definitely not.
What is impressive about it is the percentage increase. I mean, in just
Yes.
the raw numbers, not that big of a deal, but the percentage bump is good.
And for Bungie, the number is fantastic because it says that a lot of people really do love Halo. Big surprise, right? But I mean, it's validation. And validation, this is the ultimate validation. 3.3 million people bought your game.
But, it was the most marketed game I've seen in recent
fuck
history.
the marketing,
as well.
dude. It's not just the marketing. It is the love of this franchise.
Yeah, but the marketing isn't insubstantial.
No, it's not unsubstantial, but I'm saying that it is. Look, the next title down the line,
we play
282,000. That is such a gulf of difference.
And don't forget the install base. Look at Halo 1, what it sold,
Initially.
first day, and then over its lifetime. Even Halo 2, look at what the install base was when Halo 2 came out, and what it sold on day one, and what it sold over its lifetime. Compare that to Halo 3, it absolutely bodes incredibly well. This is a good number. They should be happy.
And when the movie and TV industries are blaming Halo 3's release for
right,
downturn in their
absolutely.
demographics.
Poor Ben Stiller, sunk by Master Chief.
Oh, it wasn't the fact that his movie was shit.
Is that what they said? Did they actually blame Halo 3?
They absolutely did fully blame
All those Halo
3.
fans didn't want to go and see a lame Ben Stiller movie. What a shock.
So to follow up on what you were talking about as far as sales, actually, interestingly enough, coming in second was We Play with Remote. Coming in third, though, was the DS Zelda Phantom Hourglass,
which didn't have nearly as much of a time to sell and did pretty well in the short week and a half it had.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah.
Right.
So it wasn't that aggressively marketed either.
It really wasn't.
No, but there's a really
marketed.
good TV commercial that sells it to a very broad demographic.
Yeah,
actually.
And no big surprise, number 4 is Madden on PS2.
Right.
Because that's where the install base is.
Yeah, the problem is they do need to lower the price of that, though. I think its sales are being impacted this year by being full price.
Yeah, and still, if you add up the PS2 Madden numbers from last month and this month and the 360 ones, 360 is still outselling it, which to me is really? What? And to go back to what John was saying, even last month's numbers, I think, were artificially inflated because a lot of people were buying a 360 for Madden last month.
That's true, because it was universally heralded as the buy
version. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Interestingly enough, Madden on 360 continues to rank in the top 10. It's right under Skate. Interesting.
Yeah.
Skate,
it's a good debut.
Skate very much scored. 360 continues to score with Halo 3, Skate, Madden, and BioShock still in the top 10. BioShock coming in with 150,000 sales. Pretty decent.
It's going to have legs. I mean, the amazing reviews, word of mouth.
I mean, after 500, almost 500K last month, that's really good.
So the big challenge here is PS3 software, because the only PS3 software title to make it into the top 10 was Heavenly Sword, and it came in at number 10.
But I have to say,
what was the number on it?
140,
basically.
140,000.
I mean, I have to say that's actually pretty good. I mean, for a PS3, for the audience that it is right now, that actually,
I think we're rationalizing.
I'm not rationalizing. I'm saying, look at the review scores it got, and look at how many PS3 owners there are for that review score for that install base. That's not that bad.
Of the PS3 games that are out there, it's been marketed fairly aggressively. It's been portrayed as originally supposed to be a launch game, so it's been out there on people's consciousness for a long time. And there are a fair number of hardware units out there. To get 140, I think, has to be a disappointment.
It's something we talked about last month, where Heavenly Sword inherited this AAA thing on its shoulders that I don't think it ever asked for or deserved.
Don't disagree.
So in that context, I think it's actually not bad. I mean, it came in under,
I don't know about didn't ask for it. I mean, the team might have not, but Sony were very much positioning it as the shit.
That's true.
They were.
And I
think Peter Dilley and Jack Tretton were quoted, if you dig back, there's probably a lot of quotes about Heavenly Sword being, an example of next-gen gaming.
I just think after Lair, it became the next great white hope. I think almost every PS3 game now, it's like Ratchet or Uncharted becomes the next, oh, God, it's got to be the one to sell it to us.
Please don't sync Uncharted with that tag, because the Lair number is pretty bad at 57.8 thousand units.
That's pretty funny, because
that's not really so great.
Lair's first week sales in Japan were 24,000, and that's first week.
that's really tough. And even worse, Warhawk below that at 45,000.
Well,
so sad.
But that doesn't include.
That's criminally sad.
That doesn't include the PSN sales.
You know what?
Right.
And the rumor is that the reason the no headset version of Warhawk is coming to retail is because retailers were upset by how many copies were sold direct through PSN.
Interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
Where'd you hear that? Just generally
insider.
Sony,
I think it's surprising.
Is Sony releasing real numbers on PSN at all? Yeah.
No.
I was gonna say that they should release those, because it is sad. But when you think about it, it's probably a lot of people already had a headset, already bought it. I'd like to see what that number is.
I didn't need another box in the house, so I downloaded it.
They ought to start releasing some numbers, because Gran Turismo 5 Prologue upcoming on PSN. Mm-hmm. That is going to melt the internet.
Is it upcoming in America? Sony doesn't seem to want to say.
I know. I can't get an answer either, but I can tell you this much.
Comes out December 13th in Japan and Europe.
This weekend, the demo.
In Japan,
and I can guarantee you that we will have that on Monday. There will be a version in my office with me playing it, and I will be writing.
My final word on the Heavenly Sword numbers, I'd say slightly disappointing, but I'm sure Sony has the agenda to try to push this title with legs the way they're doing Resistance. There's a whole new Resistance ad campaign this fall. There's multi-page ads for Resistance.
A year later?
Yeah, the same way Halo. You talk about Halo.
Yeah.
Halo continued to be pushed as a title you buy with your console a year after it came out, 2 years after it came out.
Yeah, but
I don't disagree with it. I still like Resistance. I still think Resistance is a good game. Maybe not spectacularly great, but a really, really
solid
good game. Really good game. Good kickoff to a franchise.
We should track your comments on Resistance
Very
from
competent.
this time last year.
They were like that. I said
now,
the same thing. I said
and
it was
how
good.
it's like slowly diminished to it's actually pretty good.
Well,
From being this is awesome, it's better than everything else.
okay. And you've never written a retroactive review. You know how that goes.
No,
right?
I think this is one game where we've constantly talked about it, and every time we've talked about it, it's got slightly less.
Not me. It's kind of stayed the same.
So on the hardware tip, did 360 beat both Wii and DS?
It did.
Nice.
It did. Xbox 360 was the big winner, 530,527.
Do we know how many of those were Halo 3 editions?
No, we don't.
No.
No, they don't break it up by SKU.
We came in at 501, so Wii is like right there knocking on the door without the Halo.
Well, and that's probably selling out in America. It's still hard to find a Wii.
Nintendo DS, 496,000
Yeah.
units.
It's amazing. I mean, even like, and here's the sad thing: Game Boy Advance is 75,000. PlayStation 3 is only like half again that at about 125. I mean, it's at about 120.
It's at 120. It's at 119.4. It's at 120.
What the hell? Who is buying a Game Boy Advance at this point? What do they cost?
On the DS, I'd be really interested to see how many of those Brain Age editions they sold because
That
they
would be-
marketed the shit out of that thing.
Yeah.
All over.
But before we get away from it, I mean, really, the question Mark just asked is pretty relevant.
Who's buying
How
GBA?
on earth can GBA sell 75,000 units?
I'll tell you
It's
why,
$70,
because
isn't it?
It's $70
Yeah.
and it's indestructible.
Okay.
You can give it to like a 3-year-old and you can bounce it off the walls and drop it down the stairs and it won't break.
It's unbelievable. I mean, if you add up these Nintendo numbers, it's not even fucking close. It's crazy.
Well, the next thing we're about to move on to in news is the whole shitstorm around the new PS3 model, which we've gotten some official comment from Sony, and you know how their quotes of late have been.
Oh,
But
yes.
Before we do that, I want to make one last point about hardware, which is that PlayStation 3 for September sold 120,000 units. PlayStation 2 sold 215,000 units. And I made this argument months and months ago. They keep on making fun of Xbox for the manner in which they advanced their generation forward, which was to say, Xbox is done, we're drawing the line, kaboom, and moving forward. PlayStation 2 continues to, I think, cannibalize PlayStation 3. You can argue all you want about the price and it being a different market and all those sorts of things.
They'd be better off like having a system that's not selling well and no other money coming in from somewhere else.
No, I don't think the system would be not. They're stuck in a very tough position.
You think by like limiting consumers' options to only high end is better?
And
Well,
you know what?
I mean,
you're
it
right
is-
because you're stuck in a very tough position because PlayStation 3 they don't have the arcade sort of core model entry.
Right. Well, so we're talking about this 40 gig SKU, and that kind of is the turning point. It is like a magic price.
Okay.
The
$399. So you're
$399 versus $599.
So now $400 frickin' dollars is a mass market price
for a next generation video game console and a high definition movie player.
It seems to be working. I mean, like the majority of the 360s so far have been at the $400 price.
Yeah.
So,
But do we think that 360 then has started to make inroads into a mass market?
I don't think any of them are mass market yet. Apart
Okay.
from, so
Yeah.
But I mean,
And
we're
Wii
nowhere
is not
near
$400.
mass market yet. So.
But like, okay, but before you get to all your quotes, I have a personal anecdote. So my sister, who I mentioned occasionally on this show, she has my old DS Fat. I gave that to her when I got a DS Lite.
Your DS.
But she hasn't had a home console since Nintendo 64 because she's older. She doesn't play a lot of games. But yesterday she calls me and tells me for birthday and Christmas she wants a PlayStation 3. And I'm like,
Why?
I'm like, what? She's
Yeah.
like, well, I want a Blu-ray player.
Okay,
And
now it makes sense.
and
what?
she like read up because she likes movies and she wants the Disney and the Pixar and all that stuff.
Okay, that
So she
makes
wants a
sense.
Blu-ray player because she's buying a new HDTV, and she'd read up on what the best Blu-ray player is, and she also is excited by home. She was like, she wants it for Blu-ray and home, and she's like, what kind of games are on PlayStation?
Yeah, I mean, Blu-ray, I understand. Home, she probably has been reading about like Second
Right.
Life or something,
Yeah.
and thinks
But
it's something
but she's
it's
definitely not a hardcore gamer, and like the more I was thinking about it, I was like, well, she would like Puzzle Fighter, and she likes Tekken. I was like, well, there's some games on PSN you would like, but she's like all excited about PS3. And it's very strange to me, but I realized like, well, a 40 gig that's perfect for her because like the functionality she wants out of it does.
Interesting to me.
And she won't miss the PS2 backwards compatibility.
Okay.
But I was like, for me, I would never want a 40 gig because the PS2 backwards compatibility is pretty important to me.
Interesting to me that you brought the Blu-ray player because a couple of weeks ago, I did the Patrick Norton news show over on Revision 3, and the other week I was watching their show, and he actually made fun of the Blu-ray capability in PS3. And I have to say that I'm playing games on my PS3, but I've used it more as a Blu-ray player than anything else.
Why is he making... That great new feature.
I know.
It's totally lame.
I have to kind of agree, because I actually I think it's a very good Blu-ray player, because it's quiet. It does everything I want out of it. It has HDMI output. It loads up really quickly. It makes a very good Blu-ray player.
Even just DVDs or stuff you download off the internet. Like, I go frame by frame through the RE5 trailer. Like, the PS3 DVD and just general video player has spoiled me.
And I can't say that the HD DVD player for the 360 is all that great, because I got to tell you, one of the most annoying things about it is it makes so much freaking noise.
Yeah.
The 360 is so... Anyway,
Okay,
whatever.
so back to the 40 gig SKU.
Okay, so where shall we start? Let's start here then with it has actually been confirmed for America. We're getting the 40 gig PS3. It's going to be $399.99. It's going to be November the 2nd. Also, as of now, apparently, the 80 gig model has been dropped to $499.99. I was wrong. Make fun of me all you want.
Well, also, and the 40 gig PS3 is bundled with Spider-Man 3 on Blu-ray. And there's a rumor that the 80 gig, starting in November 2nd, is going to be bundled with 2 games, but that is not confirmed at this time.
Gee, which 2 games? That actually would be kind of tough. MotorStorm and what?
Resistance? I don't know.
I wouldn't. I mean, if they're going to try to sell
it's
Resistance,
mature. Yeah, it has to be 2 teen rated games probably.
Okay, so starting with mainstream press, Reuters had Jack Tretton on. He commented that PlayStation 2 sales clearly show that it has life left in it as its own device, and that they are, quote, "We are choosing to focus on PlayStation 2 consumer with the PlayStation 2, which remains incredibly relevant, and focus on the PlayStation 3 consumer with the new 40 gigabyte model and the great software coming out. Backwards compatibility is a nice secondary consideration, but it's far from the number one priority." Okay, this is where I start to get angry. Yeah. Because they are so reversing their position.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with so many of these Sony comments is not actually what they're saying, but when you compare it to what they've said before, that's where you come into problem.
So Patrick interviewed Peter Dilley, which is... This go up today, right?
Right, and I had to say, like, it's really funny, because when I brought this to you, John, I actually said, wasn't Peter Dilley like a good decision for them? And this is out there.
Well, I mean, they're in a very difficult situation when they're going and discussing the fact that they keep changing their mind on everything.
Yeah.
So
it's not just changing their mind; it's reversing positions.
Completely reversing position. So Patrick was pushing them on the whole backwards compatibility thing, and Dilley's response was, "All of our research shows that backwards compatibility is nice to have, but it's not a need to have." And then goes on to qualify this by saying, consumers that have PS2 libraries have PS2s.
Yeah, but okay. Yeah, but they don't want to keep their PS2 out and have it, hooked up to their TV. They want to put it away in a closet or sell it.
But then the thing that is kind of confusing is our position on backwards compatibility still stands in stark contrast to our competition.
Yeah, now we suck at it.
Yeah.
Exactly. They are in stark contrast. The 360 has it on all of its models, and the PS3 doesn't. Stark contrast confirmed.
But they have expressed commitment to the PS2 consumer, and that hasn't changed.
Yeah, we'll keep selling you PS2s because we're selling hundreds of thousands of them. And we're selling more PS2s each month than we are PS3s.
Actually, while we're moving prices, isn't it about time we moved price on the PS2?
Oh, yeah, like a year ago. Good God.
That's a good point.
How much money are they making off of that thing?
You have that quote, John, about the different SKUs while we're on.
Hang on, it's a very long interview. Let me find it. Hold on. Talk amongst yourselves.
The one that stood out of me. And by the way, this interview is up today. If you go over to oneup.com, it's in our news section. Patrick, it's very long. Patrick let the guy roll, and this is back to that same thing of Sony executives jumping out there and sticking their foot in their mouth, and I kind of sympathize with them because the position they're being put in is very difficult.
Right.
They were posturing 2 or 3 years ago to take on where they perceived the market was, and now they are adjusting to that market. And I'm not, and so as much as we're going to be hard on them and necessarily be hard on them for the way they've changed their story, they are dynamically adjusting to what's going on in the marketplace as best they can to try and be successful. I don't argue that. I don't argue with the dire need to move forward. However, when you say things such as and there's a quote from Tretton in one of our news stories that admits that the cost savings that they're realizing from removing the various architecture pieces in the PS3 are not the big piece of why they're lowering the price. It's that they're trying to get people to buy PS3 software and really energize the PS3 unit. And then that stands in exact opposition to what Dilly is saying when he says that in one of the answers he gives to Patrick that, there's all these parts in there.
Well, he says, while I can't comment on the price of each component, you're talking about finding various ways to get the unit cost reduced, whether it's the backwards compatibility contributes a piece, the 4 USB slots contribute a piece, the memory card slots contribute a piece. There's obviously some efficiencies the guys are able to achieve inside the plastic that the consumers don't see, and all that adds up to $399.
Yeah, I mean, I think what they're saying to you, Garnet, is like you take away all those things, that actually doesn't add up to like $100, but it does add up to something, and then they sweeten it a little bit more because they want to hit that price
point. Buy a base PS3 and a PS2 for such a low price. Are you telling me you really can't include that functionality at the price?
So I wasn't here last week to eat crow on us thinking how completely unfathomable this whole SKU was, and I still think it's a really poor decision to remove it. And I think they're spinning it in the wrong way. They could be like, well, we still offer it in our high-end SKU, and it's like it's a high-end feature for informed consumers.
I'm sure one executive will spin it that way.
Well, and another thing they could do later on is in a year be like, they could turn, if it is really all through software, and if by then they have a software solution, they could turn it on. Like, oh, now all PlayStation 3s play PS2 and PS1 games.
Yeah, as a firmware.
It could be a firmware thing they're planning on doing later, but I think it is a big snafu. I mean, at least it's still available on some models. But yeah, not a good decision.
Here I have the quotation. Speaking with the Wall Street Journal, Sony Computer Entertainment America President Jack Tretton said, quote, he conceded that removing the capability along with a few other features isn't dramatically reducing Sony's cost of manufacturing the console, but will instead encourage buyers of the entry-level PlayStation 3 to purchase more games designed specifically for the new system. Jesus Christ, Jack. The whole purpose of having an inexpensive unit is to get more people into it. If they had existing libraries that they could play, wouldn't that be a greater enticement?
Yeah, I mean, this whole thing is weird. It's not a deal breaker, but it's sending a lot of people scurrying to buy 60 gig units if they really do care about the backwards compatibility.
He goes on to say,
in its best form.
He goes on to say, while we were incredibly excited about the technology in PS3, while it was future-proofed to some degree, it was a bit ahead of its time. Are you fucking kidding me? To some degree, and it was a bit ahead of its time. By the way, this is the unit that people are saying is going to last 10 years. Last time I checked, something that was a bit ahead of its time in technology lasted about maybe 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, so ahead of its time, it's taken people almost until like this fall to really actually come to grips with it.
But in the same way, like when talking to my sister on the phone and just trying to explain the whole crazy PS3 situation, I was like, well, it has come down in price, in $200 in a year, which is kind of nuts.
Yeah,
that is kind of nuts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we've been taking all these shots, and actually I feel like we're getting really adversarial, and I don't really want to go down that path too much because it's silly. Yeah, I am. I got a little excited.
We're yelling a lot. Wait, actually, it's
just gone it.
But if you remember all the fire and brimstone of the shitty Xbox 360 backwards compatibility, and like how a few years later nobody really cares, but to give us something and take it away. In a way, is a
your first point was what I was going to bring up, is that no one's going to remember it. But the problem that I think is fundamental here is that there's so many changes of posture and what's important, what's not important, what we're doing, where we're pricing.
There's some branding issues as well. Patrick asked a question actually because he said when Microsoft introduced a new SKU, they brand it. They have the core, they have the arcade, they have the premium, the elite. And he said when you look at the Sony brands, the PS3 SKUs, they're branded by hard drive space. That's the way that you have to sort of work out what it. I mean, particularly now that they're different. The only indication you have that it's different is that one says 40 on it and one says 80 on it. And he asked, do you think it's confusing for consumers when they see these SKUs and they're changing every few months and the prices are changing and the only way to know the difference is to read the fine print? And the response was, I love this. From my perspective, the only elite console in the marketplace is a PlayStation 3.
Yeah. Well, you have to read.
Well, come on. He was waiting through the whole interview to get to that. It's like.
Yeah, exactly. You have to read the next line, though, as well.
Yeah, I think it's marketing speak. And I don't know that consumers really get fooled by that.
What's marketing speak? Not saying that the PlayStation 3 is the only elite console out there. That's definitely not marketing speak. Yeah, but I like. That's a very good question. I like that question because even me, who follows the industry as much as I have time to in the day, even though it's my job, it's been confusing. Like,
okay, do you agree with this? Because he goes on to say, whether you're spending $3.99, $4.99, or $5.99, consumers do their homework before they make a console purchase, and they understand what's in the box. Now, from what you're saying, Shane, your sister had the benefit of being able to pick up the phone and talk to you.
But it was a long and detailed conversation.
Right. And there's a very good chance she still doesn't really understand.
Yeah, when I got to remote play, I think I lost her.
Yeah, Shane, and when they announced...
But even the backwards compatibility thing.
Right.
I mean, I know people that have bought a PS3 and have taken home just, games that they like the look of that had the word PlayStation on them, and some of them were PlayStation 2.
Yeah.
I know someone that bought, really liked shooters, and they bought Resistance because they'd heard of it, and then they bought Black on Greatest Hits because it's only $15.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Shane, I still remember we were at Morton's when the 360, the two different 360 SKUs got announced, and you're like, I have worked at retail. People are idiots. This is going to confuse the shit out of people when they come in at Christmas and they just want to buy whatever it is. They just want to buy it and go. And going back to what we're talking about what Sony is saying, biting them on the ass, like, yeah, what they're doing, like, they have their problems, they have their challenges, but it's really where they get in trouble is you're comparing what they're saying compared to what they said. And like what they said about the different SKUs on 360, now it's like, who said that other stuff? Like, do you not, practice what you preach?
But speaking of practice what you preach, here's the core problem for me, is that Sony has predicated so much of what they're doing on the strength of what they've built. And now what they're doing by introducing a unit that has no backwards compatibility at all is saying, you know what? That was what got us here. None of that is relevant anymore. We're moving forward. Buy PS3 stuff and just count on us delivering it at the same degree. And if you have PS2 games, of course you already own a PS2. Of course.
Yeah, I think we've.
Well, and
we've exhausted it.
One of the theory they're going to throw out here, someone told me, is maybe they want to sell PS2 games on the PlayStation Store, and they want to cut retail out. They want to cut used games out, and that would be a way of doing it.
John, there's a quote on the final page there that I just thought summed up how lost they are as far as handling all of this.
Is this the one about the choices. Different marketing spins?
No, the choices. About how people have choices. And, you might want to buy a PlayStation 3 and you might want to buy something else, which I thought was one of the... Anyway.
All right, there's never been a better time to get involved in PlayStation 3. But there are choices out there and people will have to figure out what's best for them.
That's the most compelling offer. That's the most compelling thing you can say about the PS3. And so to wrap all that up on top of all that, just get your hardware situation nailed down, Sony, and get back to what you do best, software. Concentrate on the games. That's all we care about.
I think your takeaway, you make it sound like this SKU is in every way a bad decision. And I think they cut some corners to get there and they made some decisions that might not seem right now. But getting that unit in stores at that price at that time is pivotal.
Agreed.
And if they weren't doing it, you would be giving them much more shit right now.
I think you'll see a lot of people buying a 40 gig and a copy of Ratchet.
I think
if it was $299, I might agree.
Jesus, you're never happy.
No, I'm saying I don't think.
Do you realize that this is a Blu-ray player? Do you remember that? You seem to forget that sometimes.
And it does have a hard drive,
right?
You know what?
And free online.
What we talked about last week was
free online. Jesus goddamn Christ!
As the price of Xbox 360 comes down further and further, charging $50 to play on games online seems more and more stupid.
What we talked about last week was
I'm not disagreeing. I'm not going to disagree with you on that. So that's just a cheap shot.
You gotta get down to that price. The price is the thing. Before Christmas, get down to it. Like it's gonna be some painful things that you're gonna have to do.
$399.
And they left
to it.
They left Wi-Fi. And you know how much Wi-Fi cost you for your Xbox 360?
$100.
Yeah, sure does. You know which has Wi-Fi? My DS. How much does that cost?
Dude, okay.
Moving on.
Moving right along. Xbox 360 Arcade SKU has been absolutely confirmed.
I have a question. Are they the full games or are they demos?
We still don't know that.
Weird.
That's actually really
Is it
annoying.
out? People are buying them.
But isn't it that arcade disc that they put out a while ago?
Is
it? Was the full games?
It does seem to be.
That was the full games.
Yeah.
The one that
conjecture.
had Bejeweled and...
As of Thursday night when we are recording this, it seems a conjecture, which would be Pac-Man Championship, Uno, Boom Boom Rocket, Feeding Frenzy, and Luxor 2. Full versions are not.
I don't think Pac-Man was on that disc.
No.
All right, so moving right along, PlayStation Network is in the news. One of the things that was confirmed for us from Michael Schelling at Konami, who's their new head PR guy, is that if you're not going to E for all, you're not going to be playing Metal Gear Solid before it releases.
This was actually confirmed for us at TGS after we stopped finishing that podcast with Ryan Payton. After the mic stopped running, he told us the exact same thing.
I don't remember him doing
I said,
that.
wow.
I thought they were trying
He
to...
did. Well, no, he was like, something to the effect of, we're going to give that away for free? No. I think that it may become available, but never through PSN.
So what did he say
That's an
exactly?
interesting conjecture.
What did he say exactly? Because did he really not leave any room for it to be any kind of pre-order? or?
Michael Schelling said that the E4All Expo is the first and last chance we'll be able to get our grubby paws on the game until it releases.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying that, but I don't think that's the best scenario. I think a better scenario is to offer the disc as a pre-order incentive. Which is
interesting.
Nothing against Michael Schelling, but he might be thinking like general public without paying anything or doing anything.
They don't need a demo to sell the game, but on the other hand, it builds a lot of goodwill if they do.
And like Turok, which I mentioned earlier, they're doing that exact same thing. If you go and put $5 down for Turok at some point in the future, you will get a demo disc. And I think that is what should happen for Metal Gear Solid.
Well, and they are making this game, and Sony has got to start doing this, especially with their PSN games. Offer a free demo with every game. Like, who knows what Everyday Shooter is until you try a level of it. Like, at least do that with the PSN games, but they really need to get better about doing that with the other games. Games like Dead Rising and Lost Planet, who knows what they would have sold if the demo did not come out right before they did.
Right. They went through a phase on PS2 of doing that where there would always be a couple of demos. There was like a period of about a year or two where a lot of games had 2 or 3 demos on them. Sony was doing it pretty aggressively for a while. It was great because you would try things that you wouldn't normally try because it was there.
With new IP, it's like, who knows what it is? Get it out there, do it. And with Metal Gear, they're making this demo for trade shows, so why not use it for something? So, no disrespect to Michael Schelling, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually not true.
I think that it would. I think we'd get them a tremendous amount of goodwill, a great amount of press. It would really get popular opinion going for them. I think it's win.
And I think there are people who might buy a PlayStation 3 to get that demo.
And since you brought up Kynan, the number of times that Kynan and I played the PS1 Metal Gear Solid demo was unbelievable. We played that shit over and over and over and over. Also coming to PlayStation Network
wait.
soon.
You guys just made the argument that people would buy a PS3 to play the demo. Earlier on, we were arguing that in September, people will not buy a console to play Halo.
Halo fans probably already had it.
No.
I think more Xbox Halo fans probably already had an Xbox 360 than people like Metal Gear fans.
Yeah,
there are some serious Metal Gear fans who are waiting for Metal Gear.
No?
Right.
Yeah.
Like the Halo beta, a lot of people probably bought the 360 around. A lot of the Halo fans probably bought the 360.
And there have been enough convincing games on 360 that you could say to yourself, well, you know what? I know I'm going to get it for Halo, so I might as well go ahead and get it now.
But if you're in EB and you realize right now, if I buy that, I can play Metal Gear right now, and it's not even out for a few months.
Right.
Yep. Also coming soon to PlayStation Network and I like how PlayStation Network has been progressive as far as moving forward with these small developer games. The next one's coming is going to be an episodic game called Rat Race.
Yeah, I don't know.
This sounds really good. I'm looking forward to this.
I thought it sounded really cool.
I'm really looking forward to this, particularly with the writing talent they've got on board.
But isn't it also PC and some other? It's not exclusive to PS3, right?
I will tell you what I read off a PlayStation blog, which, by the way, if you're not reading blog.us.playstation.com, you ought to go check it out because it's kind of a cool way that Sony is actually interfacing with people and getting stuff out there. It's Greg Easley, who is one of the founders of Super Ego Games, did the latest post. He talks about Rat Race, which is a PS3 exclusive, so I would say
okay, maybe not.
Comedy adventure game. And what you talk about in writing talent, listen to the people that they have lined up. Folks who have written on Late Night with Conan O'Brien, My Name is Earl, Saturday Night Live, South Park, Flight of the Conchords, Sex and the City, Ugly Betty, Comedy Central. Dear God.
All right, the talent is there. I like the distribution model, but the graphics, it reminds me of the Littles.
See, I don't care because I really wanted to play Sam & Max, and I have a Mac, not a PC. So I'm looking forward to Sam & Max coming to Xbox Live because I want to play games on a game system. And I think that if it's a couple of hours of gameplay, it doesn't have to look gorgeous. It just has to deliver a consistent, funny, entertaining thing. I mean, I think the best possible scenario for this is it's a kind of sit back on the couch and just kind of be amused by it experience.
That's exactly what it sounds like they're heading for, because Greg said that they've been, they kind of shoehorned in this interactive sitcom model, but beyond that, what they really want to do is that their goal is to give you the feel of actually playing inside your favorite TV show.
I mean, it sounds like The Office is like a big kind of model for it, right? They're really going for that kind of vibe.
The Office, the show, not The Office, the new game.
Yeah, The Office, the show.
It almost worries me that there's that many writers from that many things, because it seems to me kind of like I don't know. You write a couple jokes, nobody's really at the helm caring about it. I don't know. We'll see. I guess.
I think a lot of attention should be paid to it, because this is doing what Phil Harrison has been talking about for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, something, Sam & Max was one of the first, reliable, well-executed versions of this. But if they get this on a schedule, so you know when it's coming, and it's consistently well-written, and the presentation is at least passable, I think it'd be great. And as long as they don't fuck up the pricing.
Well, yeah, and good for them for doing something different and new, no matter how it turns out. Sony has actually been surprisingly good about that.
What would you pay an episode?
$5.
How long? 2 hours?
2 hours.
$4.99 tops.
$4.99.
But I'd really like it to see like $3.99. I know it's cutting hairs, but I mean, like every little
$10
bit
says they're $10.
Right. Right? I mean, this
you want to make a bet?
definitely-
We haven't made a bet on the show for a while. $10 says every episode's $10.
$10 says every episode is $10. So it's a one-time bet. Let's just bet something more interesting.
I think
let's bet a bottle of Oban.
All right.
Or whatever your choice is.
Okay.
I bet under 10. You bet over 10. John and I just shook on it.
Yeah, John, I think $7.99 could bite you in the ass.
Maybe do.
And if it does, I'll enjoy my bottle of scotch. And Shane, you got in my face about this, and I've never said anything other than the fact that I think Xbox Live needs to be out there for everybody. The silver and gold tiering thing is absurd. They need to do away with that.
I think as the pricing on the console comes down, it becomes more of an issue.
It does.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you.
And people are starting to break the rules as well, and find ways of letting you interact with other people in gameplay through silver. Yeah, Need for Speed does it.
It does it, and it does it well.
And
you know what? It's sad to make your developers work around that. Make the thing work.
Well,
make it a feature and a plus of your system, Microsoft, and stop making your PC team have to figure out how to justify these weird.
Is Live still happening on PC? Are people buying that?
they just iterated on it.
Yeah, they have 1.2 going up, and
is it a hit? Are people signing up?
No, they still have that problem. They're getting killed by Steam in feature set.
How much does Steam cost?
$3,000. Oh, that's right. It's free.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Okay, so there you go. Moving right along to our litigation.
I wonder if anyone listening is doing a spray count, because people can hear when you squirt
It's
that
nice
shit down your throat.
Clearly, you can hear it.
I'm only supposed to do it 4 times a day.
And you've done it at least that many times during the show.
No wonder you're loopy. On our litigation segment for today, the latest victim of the ban hammer is Soldier of Fortune in Australia. Now, this is kind of interesting because Australia actually has no equivalent to the M-rated 18 and over game rating that other geographic areas have, like Europe and America. So they're caught. They were unilaterally refused a rating by the Interactive Entertainment Association of Australia that because of high impact violence, and specifically they cited the different ways a player could maim.
Is this the new one that they did that video of recently?
It came from out of nowhere. It comes out very soon, and I'm sure it's really good.
This is the thing where they ragdoll the thing into pieces.
Yes, and actually they actually went on to talk about how you could go through gross dismemberment.
I mean, it is pretty
gratuitous.
But this franchise has always been pretty
it's all about
gruesome.
it. Yeah.
Are you telling me that you haven't seen movies like this? Are you telling me these movies aren't available in Australia?
Yeah, Shane, fan of such crap as
Hostel 2.
Hostel 2. Yeah, where people are sawed in half above other people as blood drips into their mouths.
That was a good scene.
Yeah. So
really, really,
yeah.
Okay. I'll just leave that there.
It's always Australia or Germany or even the UK sometimes now. I mean,
it's tough.
Shit's always getting banned there. Or
definitely
not being allowed
tough.
there. Why can't they come? Why don't they have a rating for something that's adult there? Is that
I don't
in the
know.
story?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
That's a great question, which is why we continue to support groups like the ESA who try and further our cause as far as treating games with some sort of adult maturity. Capcom in London has been unveiling...
Oh, yeah.
Capcom went crazy.
They went absolutely crazy. So I won't start any place else other than obviously Street Fighter 4.
Boom.
You guys,
Boom.
especially Mark and Shane,
What?
how excited...
Wait.
We are very Street Fighter fans.
How excited are you about Street Fighter 4?
Very, very excited.
99, really. It was like the last time you had a new one,
I
right?
am cautiously optimistic.
Like, what do you mean cautiously optimistic?
As somebody who, and God knows,
they have fucked it up before.
Yeah, as somebody.
But they've always revised it and fixed it.
No,
they haven't always.
Which one do you think wasn't refined and fixed?
God, what do you want to start?
Capcom Fighting Jam.
Listen,
No, I mean ultimately though.
That was the last Street Fighter product they've produced.
I got tons and tons of shit, and I tried to preface it saying, if you are a hardcore fighting game person, I know that Street Fighter 3 Third Strike is like the be-all end-all of everything.
Mark stopped playing Street Fighters like in 1993.
But to me, and a lot
No, he didn't.
of
He played
people.
Third Strike.
No, he didn't.
I did try it. I didn't like it. To me, and a lot of people that did really, really, really love and have memories of the arcade in the quarter. Like, look at the sales numbers. Street Fighter 3 did not, was not a follow-up to Street Fighter 2. It did not improve on Street Fighter 2's numbers.
No.
For a lot of us, we are excited at the prospect of a new Street Fighter 4. And, of course, everyone that is still, goes to EVO and plays Third Strike, like they are fucking excited as hell. Like the look of it was really cool.
Yeah, the teaser trailer is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So
and it's just artwork. It's just come on. It's just Ryu and Ken.
It's a really evocative and cool trailer.
It was enough to get you excited for sure.
As I said, cautiously optimistic.
The true believers are in, right?
And even the lapsed, I think, fighting game fans are actually looking at it.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing's got 500,000 views in 2 days on Game Videos. It's a lot of people are looking at it. Yeah.
Yep.
Their other game that was even closer, which was Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD.
Yeah, what's up with these people? What's taking them so long?
Well, I mean, they were very upfront about it. They said that they're not happy with where the lag is for online multiplayer.
Well, are we ever?
No, and so far, has any fighting game really conquered this problem? We're about to see Virtua Fighter.
Well, yeah, the VF5 360 matches I played on PartnerNet were really good, actually. But that's on PartnerNet, which is a closed network, not Xbox Live.
And are you a defensive player or an attacking player?
It depends on my character. I'm a consummate Virtua Fighter player. However,
Jesus Christ.
However,
Hold on, I have to wipe the crap off my shoe.
If my VF5 matches end up being as laggy as my DOA 4 matches, it's unplayable. So we'll see.
Well, you know what? Because I did the interview with them with the developer and the producer at TGS, and they said that where they went was because of the frame-by-frame precision of attacks, that they allowed that priority over defending. So
Itagaki's 3 frames of lag.
Yes.
So did you play a defensive character?
In DOA?
No, in Virtua Fighter. We're talking about Virtua Fighter. You're not even drinking. Is there something in that chloroseptic I should know about?
It's not chloroseptic, dude. It's Vicks. And
what Garnett is getting at is, does it depend on the character if they're an offensive or defensive player?
I think it does. From what they described, I think it's going to depend a lot.
We shall see.
So, okay.
But I mean, how many games? I have not had a game where it ran well or poorly on PartnerNet that did not then run well or poorly on Xbox Live.
Yeah, that's pretty indicative because you are playing over the internet. Okay,
but about that Street Fighter, there has a screenshot has emerged, like a picture taken off of a screen came out of Street Fighter 2 HD Remake, which has never been revealed, and it looks pretty good. So
yeah.
There you go.
All right, they also revealed a brand new sci-fi IP called Dark Void.
Yes, indeed.
And
Dark Void. Do we know what platform that's for yet?
Not much is known.
I'm imagining 360 and PS3, hopefully.
We do know that Games Radar, who busted the embargo radically, said that it was a third person with air vehicle gameplay, character wearing steampunk. It sounds pretty...
It'll all be out there by the time people are hearing this. But the other real big announcement that people are excited about, of course, Bionic Commando.
It was an emotional roller coaster because we'd heard about this rumors.
Yeah. So Street Fighter 4, I have to give props to Quarterman and EGM. Like, you read your Quarterman closely. You knew about Street Fighter 4 about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, you also knew about Bionic Commando.
Indeed.
He's reported on it a few times because the project has changed a few times. We didn't really know who was making it, and it turns out it's the Swedes.
The Swedes?
Really? Yeah, the Swedes are making it.
Under the watchful eye of Ben Judd, though.
Ben Judd's a good man.
He is a good man, yes.
Very good man. And I gotta say, the trailer, I'm pretty impressed.
It actually, like the mechanic, the whole arm mechanic actually seems like it's going to actually work in next gen.
However, phenomenally disappointed in the lack of Hitler.
Well,
gotta say.
How do you know? How do you know it's not going to be Hitler's brain?
We can hope.
Yeah, exactly.
What about Okami coming to Wii?
about damn time.
Are you?
I think,
gotta be
I
excited
think that,
about that, right?
That's a genius move. On
I
his
think
part.
it's genius.
I
That's
think
the one I actually.
don't think it's genius. I think it's like the most obvious thing of all time. I can't believe it took him this long.
Oh, but genius! But it's genius because we've all heralded it as a great game, but it was at the wrong point in the PS2's life cycle. And hitting Wii
I
is
remember
so great
playing
for
that game at E3 and being like, this should be on Wii.
Yep, I did the same thing.
Because like you're moving a paintbrush around the screen.
Yes.
Are you retarded? It should be for Wii.
They poo-pooed the shit out of it, though. They were like,
know.
nope, never going to happen.
We asked it,
We're
like,
never going to do it.
And it took them this long.
Yeah.
And last but not least, they're getting PS3 gets the ultimate version of Lost Planet.
Another one, like they said, like no, that's never happened. We're never doing. Really?
Well, through the power of Blu-ray, they get everything that's in 360 downloadable content, all the PC extras, everything. Ultimate version PS3.
I'd rather have Dead Rising.
I would too, but Lost Planet, much maligned, way better game than it gets credit for. I still believe in it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You a big fan?
Gave it an 8. Gave it an 8.
I am a fan.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
All right. We did it last week, so I might as well end on a Valve note this week as well. Who knows? Maybe Valve can just like hold our news section every week from now till whenever they want to give it up. This week, their news is of a patch for Team Fortress 2 for Xbox Live because, unfortunately, Team Fortress 2 on Xbox Live has not been such a great experience. And as a matter of fact, most of the folks who've been playing it have seen a lot of connection to the host has been lost messages and just unplayable lag when they do get into games.
Yep.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've only played a little bit, and it was noticeable. Some
Well-
pretty weird stuff going on in the game.
Yeah.
It is weird for a number of reasons, including the fact that Valve actually internally did the 360 version, and they've been on top of that version all along. So it's disappointing that they weren't able to identify that and handle it right off the bat. They have already made a title update. The title update is already over to Microsoft, but that means that it's in certification. So with any luck, it'll be out this weekend if they can push it. But I would say that given the way
Next
Microsoft...
week.
Yeah, the way Microsoft likes to update, it'll be part of this Wednesday's update.
Yeah.
Play Portal, play Episode
Play
2.
Portal.
You got plenty of shit.
Play Half-Life 2 if you've never played it. Jeez. Game's awesome.
So there you go.
And this is Mark's final goodbye.
What do we say for goodbye to Mark?
See you later.
What does one say? Well, honestly, though, like I said, I'm going to be in town at least through November. I'll be back every once in a while.
Before you head to Austin,
Yeah, we're never. we're never gonna believe anything you say.
Yeah. You going to all those awesome restaurants and stuff that we told you about?
Yeah, exactly. All that stuff. But
you and Kynan are both so fucking dead.
Was Luke in on this?
no.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
I'm telling
but,
you, we are rolling. I will make sure that you get home safely tomorrow.
all right.
But that's all that I promise you.
I know I will get home safely because I will make the interns take shots. But
Your interns, don't be counting on their shielding powers.
yeah, but I as always, I serve at the pleasure of one of yours. So whenever you guys need me, just throw up the bat signal and.
So
I
bat
will
signal
be here.
right now, already up for definitely when Dennis is here.
He wants you.
Okay, so you got to do that. We're also going to do a 4-minute warning in a couple weeks. I will get a thread up on boards.oneup.com where everyone likes to come. I have to say though, for next week, I've already not really know what was going up. I lined up Bill Roper.
You already got my replacement.
No, not a replacement.
Bill
just
Roper.
Bill Roper to come in. He of Diablo, StarCraft, and now Hellgate, and he wants to do the whole show. He's going to do the whole thing. He's going to tell us what he's been playing.
Cool.
We're going to talk some MMOs. We're going to talk whether or not.
If people haven't heard him before, they should dig back through the GFW radio archives and listen to the show he did with them. It was awesome.
He's pretty entertaining, dude.
He's a really funny guy.
In the middle segment, we're going to get into whether or not what they're doing with MMOs in Hellgate, as far as some free content and some paid subscription content, is going to change the equation. Where Warcraft has left things, there's the interest of now Codemasters taking yet another title with. What's the name of that game that they've now brought free? The next one.
But isn't sending an MMO free, like after it's been paid, usually hey, no one's playing it.
Yeah.
It's free now.
No, absolutely. Rising Force Online. So they've taken Rising Force Online.
Wow, it's named after an Yngwie Malmsteen thing.
So we're gonna get into all that stuff. So if you have something to say about MMOs, come say that to us. Otherwise, other than that, for the gang here, Shane, Mark. You're going to be back. I'm not even going to say goodbye. You don't get it. John, this is Garnet. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you next week. We are out.
Thanks for buying this week's One Up Yours podcast. Oh, wait, that's right. You didn't pay for it because it's free, just like any good online service should be. This is Shane Bettenhausen signing off. PlayStation 3.